Discord. Yeah, so with AEW, the fact that Tony Khan decided to purchase Ring of Honor, I've noticed now on Rampage as well as on Dynamite, now you're starting to get matches from stars from Ring of Honor on television, which is great because you have a television contract, a big television contract with TBS and TNT. So why not take your big roster of wrestlers? Like literally, this is what shows you we're in America. Tony Khan got money, and he said, "I want a roster that's bigger than WWE." So he bought two companies.
Yeah, so I'm gonna buy two different places. Also, if you think about it too, it's also genius the way he's doing it because AEW is already hot and popular. Ring of Honor kind of cooled off over the years, but by him buying it and throwing all these new talent plus older talent there, kind of resurges Ring of Honor, like makes it hot again.
Correct. And it also puts it on the map to say all elite. So when you think about wrestling for AEW and WWE has been WWE and has changed to what it is now, more sports entertainment, more soap opera stuff. And now you have like AEW. And I think AEW to me is a good balance between they have the fan loyalty of ECW mixed with the roster of the WCW, which includes a lot of former WWE guys that are on there. But the difference I see is that they are also trying to create this all elite wrestling platform in which basically anybody from every other organization can show up here. So in my opinion, AEW is trying to be the MCU of wrestling. They're basically making everything connected. So now you got New Japan Pro, you got freaking Evolve, like not Evolve, like little indie promotions. You got Impact Wrestling. You got Ring of Honor. You got all of these other organizations that have their own following now tuning into All Elite Wrestling. So now All Elite Wrestling is basically becoming this sort of one-of-a-kind thing where you got everybody going around. Now, back in the territory days, you did get some people to cross over and do territories here. Ric Flair would go down and do some fights in this particular territory. Then he'd move on to the next territory. But, AEW is kind of taking that same thing and just making it all a connected story. Because
it's kind of like how I was saying before about earlier with the DC movies. Like, I don't know why they don't just use the same people, or like the deal at first with Spider-Man. It's like, well, I mean, at the end of the day, all I see is lots of us making lots of money. So I'm pretty sure Tony Khan is like, man, how do I benefit from 8 people from Ring of Honor coming to AEW, going to New Japan, going to this place, going to that place, and just doing a circle where they just keep coming, man. And I feel like if you were sitting in a boardroom meeting, you'd be like, you think people will watch that? It's like, oh, wait, I don't know. If people have the opportunity to see some fantasy matches, like just take like the Young Bucks versus some famous tag team for New Japan that you never thought you would see them fight. It's like, it's a fucking no-brainer that it almost makes you feel like it's a missed opportunity from WWE and other organizations before them. They should have been doing that.
I think what they got caught up with was brand building for WWE, and WWE is still a good product for what it is. They got caught up in brand building, and they weren't really, they know now that they were the Coke and Pepsi of wrestling, which is what WWE is. They stopped thinking about how they could, benefit the industry and started just thinking about overall brand. And obviously AEW and all the other companies are thinking about their brand, but them partnering together is going to give them an opportunity for people. I'm going to just be straight up honest. I've been a fan for wrestling more than 30 years of my life. And I'm excited when I watch AEW matches. I'm really not excited. I can't tell you the last time I was excited sitting there watching a WWE match because it's so fun. It's the same.
Feel like I still get excited sometimes. I won't say all the time. I agree. Yeah, AEW stuff gets me more excited just because they're doing new and exciting stuff. And then even recycling stuff with like the older wrestlers that have like watching Sting interact with Darby Allin and fight all these younger guys and stuff like that. It is like it shows one, this guy's what, over 60, still going at it. Like it's pretty dope. And watching WWE, I feel like I still get excited for certain things, but not everything.
I mean, it just makes sense too. What you're describing is, and just to be very clear, we're not just having the two old men go back in the Attitude Era. We're not having that conversation.
But you know what I do have? I do have one question that I was thinking about, and I feel like it's spurred out of me from Cody Rhodes coming back to WWE. It is just something that I personally think that WWE needs to work on in the next few years, which is they need to create new stars. Like it's funny because the conversation that the Miz and Cody was having when he was referring to belts, and then the Miz was correcting him like titles, and he was like, wrestlers, and he was like superstars. I was like, yeah, that made me think. I was like, WWE to me is running out of superstars. They have plenty of wrestlers. They have plenty of people who are famous, and thousands of people come and to watch, and millions watch at home. But with the Undertaker retiring, John Cena's in Hollywood. He comes back, whenever. The Rock comes back, whenever. But in this generation, I really don't feel like they don't have a Mick Foley. They don't have a Triple H. They don't have a Shawn Michaels. They don't have all these guys with the longevity to keep the company going, at its top potential. If you think about it, like if Roman, like I said this before, off air to you, if certain people just walked out and left right now, how would the ratings do on TV with the other people that they have? Because they don't really build people up that much. Like if Roman Reigns just had a falling out with Vince tomorrow, was like, fuck this, and he quit, and he took the Usos with him, and then Sasha Banks left, and then Becky Lynch left, and then Seth Rollins, and they all just left right now. What if, like, just those, I'm not even going to name anybody else. What if those wrestlers I just named just left right now?
They're dead. That's it. Like,
like,
only thing that saves them is the fact that they can always go back to these people like Stone Cold, like The Undertaker, like The Rock. At least in their mind, they feel like they can always go back to them and sell some T-shirts, sell some tickets, and play that old. It's basically pulling out the old dusty, old school Metallica and play those greatest hits.
I mean, you can, but it's only gonna work for so long. It was the same thing I was saying when Sony was, at first like, oh, they're gonna take Spider-Man, they're just gonna make our own stuff. I'm like, cool. How long does that last? 2 movies, 3 movies before you run out of stuff, or you have to hit the reboot button again? It's like you think about that, like they don't. I'm like, who do they have now who is the same level or equivalent to an Undertaker or Stone Cold? I'd say nobody. They don't.
Nobody.
Like, and there's no spite to the wrestlers. I love half the wrestlers that are there, but
you said
like that the speech that was between Roman Reigns and Cena a long time ago, when John Cena was like, I have to keep coming back because you guys can't do your job or whatever. I'm like, that's still very relevant because I feel like that. I feel like we need more superstars in the WWE. So at some point, like I know we complain sometimes, oh man, they keep doing Charlotte Flair. Like at some point, you have to realize that you're gonna have to move Charlotte and these other people out the way. And all these other people you have on the roster that you always belittle, you're gonna have to use them because it's, I don't know. I'm like, I would love to know if I had a crystal ball or if I had a Dragon Ball, what WWE is gonna look like even 5 years from now. Is it still Roman as the tribal chief? You think that's still gonna work 5 years from now? No.
I don't see that being the thing, but I feel like there is going to be they're going to try to redeem him. They're going to try to flip him. If I can make predictions, they're going to try to flip him. Everybody you see now, that's like, here's where WWE, I feel like I agree at 100,000% that they're not in the superstar building business anymore. Their future, though, in their mind, is the future sports entertainers of the generation, which is NXT 2.0. That's where they feel that we're going to build a new generation of superstars who are.
Hey, let me just stop you there for a second and say, no offense to anybody that's currently on the roster, but have you watched that show since it became 2.0?
No.
That's all I'm gonna say. That's it. That show is not the same at all.
I'm gonna correct that what I just said. I said I have not seen it. As a wrestling fan, on occasional Tuesdays, I have gone over to it, and I can tell you, just like Brock Lesnar, just like Goldberg, I can't last 5 minutes. I can't fucking last. It's because I'm watching it and it feels fake. Like, I'm sorry.
It doesn't feel like a wrestling show. It feels like I'm watching a sitcom.
Like, yo, are we making Glow? Are we making Heels? What are we making here? Like, I don't understand what this is. It's like, yo, the guy that gets on my goddamn nerves and is just like, yo, this guy needs a new gimmick real fast. Do yourself a favor if you want to be annoyed by this guy real quick. Not now, but anybody, for you guys out there listening, and for you, Ronnie, if you want to, do yourself a favor and check out LA Knight. That guy has the biggest Rock gimmick. He's literally a white dude trying to be the Rock. I'm gonna just go with it. It's really bad. Like, you're something, and I'm like, what? Why are you talking like that? Like, that's not. No, you're not the Rock. The Rock is a 6'6" Samoan black dude. You are not the Rock. You are LA Knight. You better figure out a gimmick. That's the wrong gimmick to get. That's like John Cena trying to do fucking Farouk's gimmick or something. Yeah. What the fuck are you doing? That doesn't make sense. Like,
I mean, they try stuff to see what sticks. I mean, case in point, what's his name? Apollo Crews. They tried to give him the Wakanda gimmick, and that didn't work.
And that's why it's not. That's why it's not over, because don't get me wrong. WWE has the roster of people that they've brought up from NXT, and now they are the entirety of the show. Like 90% of the show is former NXT people, and then 10% of the show is the last, cowboys that have been around for a little bit, which is like Randy Orton,
AJ Styles.
AJ Styles is another one, but AJ Styles is just one of those people who he's the last person who came from outside who I don't even think they tried to have the NXT conversation with him. I'd love to ask him in an interview. Did they come to him and say, you want to go to NXT? He probably looked at them and said, if you ask me that again, I will Styles clash your ass.
I do feel like, going back to making superstars, I feel like let's see, AJ, Orton, they're like the last superstars they have. Like, names that you could just throw out that are gonna put asses in seats. It's like, like if you go into a party, you want to go with me to this celebrity party? Oh, who's gonna be there? If you were like,
Edge is another one of those.
Oh yeah, Edge is another. But imagine I said, hey, I got an extra ticket to this celebrity party. You want to come with me? And you were like, whoa, yeah, who's gonna be there? And I said, Terrence Wilson. You were like, who? Terrence Wilson. Like, who else? Paul Lighting. And you're like, who the fuck are these people? You're like, but if I told you, like, you want to go to a celebrity party, who's gonna be there? Eddie Murphy. Oh shit, Dan Aykroyd. You'd be like, oh shit, yeah, let's go. So I feel like that's what, when it comes to WWE, like AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Edge, who else? Brock Lesnar. Like, those guys. Like, is there anybody else really?
It feels like to me, it's just funny that it it just is just a wrestling fan's theory. That's just my theory. I feel like over time, because you've had these larger, if you think about the larger than life characters that WWE has sort of helped create, right? Let's say help create. Hulk Hogan, John Cena, The Rock, Austin. If you look at all of those, like in all the other big names that are like that, most of them aren't there anymore. And what also happens is the fact that these people become so big that they transcend WWE, which means that they're open to joining up with the rest. They take off the sports part and just become a part of entertainment. Like fucking Stone Cold is doing Tide commercials. You know, like you have
Yeah, this is a cold call. I know you're talking about.
was a popular TV show that came out this year called Peacemaker with John Cena. Like you have these people who they will always be synonymous with WWE, but they will grow to these higher levels. And it feels like they're not really trying to create those people anymore. Like those are also people that got over. Like there's a difference. This is a key thing. There's a difference between going over and getting over. Do you know the difference between those two? What like think
Going
about
over, going over,
getting
like,
over.
like maybe Edge's new gimmick. Is that what you mean? Like Edge's new gimmick is probably gonna get over just because it's Edge.
So Edge is like Edge is over. It doesn't matter what Edge does. We're gonna watch Edge, right? Like this is one of the things that WWE
I get it. You mean somebody who's so established, it doesn't matter what Randy Orton, case in point, Randy Orton. Randy Orton has never really done the fucking storylines that he is doing right now. Well, he's a Riddle and he's got him as a friend. And he's talking about this guy's my friend. Yeah, it's like he's over. Like, and that's why and they know that Orton's over. That's why they put Riddle with Orton.
a guy that's trying to get over is Riddle. He's trying to get over. He's not over. Randy Orton is over. So they try like Damian Priest is trying to get over.
But see, but now that he's had such a long relationship with Randy Orton, probably when they do break up those two, Riddle probably will be over a little bit because everybody's gonna think of RK Bro.
Correct. That's been the so there's certain tropes, as you know, I love to say that there's certain tropes in wrestling that just work because we know how this goes and we follow these rules. AEW follows these rules, and New Japan Pro and all other good wrestling organizations follow these rules, which is normally what happens is that you bring if you're starting a wrestling organization, you create factions, and then eventually these factions break down, whether they break up or just decide to break off and do singles career or tag teams. That's essentially how you build your world. It's not even just true in wrestling, it's true in like everything, superhero stuff, name it. Like, I don't know, what is Captain America a part of again? God, I can't remember
The Avengers.
Right? Like it's always something. Like you got all these guys. This is why he can do this and do this, and they come together. They come together for this one reason. They stop this big bad guy, and then they go off into their branch off into their worlds. Like it's the same instance in wrestling where you have these factions. Like I can tell you one of the sort of derailments of one of WWE's big plans, because you can tell how they treat these characters specifically. One of Vince McMahon's big plans was to make three superstars the biggest superstars of our current generation. Can you give me the three? Because one of them's already the biggest.
I know one of them's definitely Roman Reigns.
Okay, that's Roman Reigns. Now, who's the second one?
Austin Theory for some reason. I don't know why, but Vince has a hard on to try to. Anybody else notice that Austin Theory was on the main roster before with Seth Rollins? Didn't get over. They sent him back to NXT, and now they brought him back, and he's with Vince McMahon personally.
So he's still in the process of working to get over. There's three guys that they had: Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, aka Jon Moxley, and Roman Reigns. They had their heart set on them. If you go and look on the WWE,
oh, okay, yeah, the Shield, yeah, I can see that. But I think only two of them got over.
No, all of them would have got over. All of them would have got over.
No. I'm saying like back when they first did their thing and they were there. I think Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins was. Let's face it. Whether it's music, there's always either one guy or one or two guys that fans like more than the other. Like Correct. I love the Street Profits, but if I'm honest, I know that as much as I love Angelo Dawkins, I know that my favorite member of the Street Profits is what's the name?
Montez
the
Ford.
Other guy, Montez Ford. So yeah, so you always the same thing with the Shield. Like I think that Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose were over a lot more than Roman. Remember, because that's all we felt when they broke him up. They keep trying to shove this guy down our throat because he wasn't over like the other two. So that's why I was like.
He had to work to get over to where he is now. So bravo to Roman Reigns of putting in work for years, getting booed out of arenas, getting booed standing next to The Rock. Like, bravo to him that he actually can say, acknowledge me, and people cheer. Like, that's a thing that's like, it took time.
Well, cheer, and it's also kind of like a big fuck you to people who just never really liked this guy because it's like, acknowledge me. Like, you ain't got no choice but to acknowledge me.
It's basically the same thing that Cody did when he left. He went from his famous line, which I don't know how many times Corey Graves said it to the point where I want to kick Corey Graves in the nuts when I was watching WrestleMania. He went from undesirable to undeniable. Oh my God. That fucking line. Get it. I watched him. It's okay. Like, again, going into the Cody thing for just a second. So I understand the story that he's telling. Personally, I think that Cody is a good person because I've met him. He's a nice dude. He did a great thing in building AEW. He's not talking shit about AEW. He's not coming in trying to be like this big heel or nothing like that. He's coming in with a story that people can get behind. But I personally think, in my opinion, that I'm not interested in this fucking story. Just be personally, I don't give a shit about this story. It is a good
really?
story.
I think it's cool. It's actually like, okay, that makes sense. Like, you know, when that day comes with him standing in the ring with the title, with the world title or whatever title by then, I think it actually is dope because yeah, he will have done something that his brother or dad haven't ever done in that company. In the company, let's face it, in the company that helped put the three of them on the map. So, like, you know, like we would have never known who any of them were without WWE. So, and I think that's the reason why that's why I said like his reason to come back actually makes sense because it has more meaning for him to do this in WWE than AEW. Because it's the place where his father, you know, was and did all this stuff. So I feel like, yeah, that actually, his whole, that's why I'm like, damn it, Cody, you, it actually makes sense. Because, like, yeah, if he could he have done this storyline of this story in AEW? Yes, he could. But if you could bring it full circle and have it be the company where you started and the company where, like, you weren't that popular the last time you were here, you know, that just brings it all full circle. So I get it. I mean, yeah, as much as it sucks for him to have left the other one and stuff, you know, but I get it.
I personally feel like it sucks, and I'm really not for it, to be honest. I'm not for it in that sense of like it's a good storyline that you could get behind for somebody. But not in the sense of this guy, because of how, and I understand. I know some people might say, well, it's just because you have him so synonymous with AEW. And you're right. I do have him being like Cody Rhodes is the face of AEW, not from the sense of a star talent, but from a point of this famous family. But the McMahons are not the only famous family in wrestling. The Rhodes
which is also a dope ass tagline with his theme music. There's not only it's not only one royal family in wrestling.
I understand. I know that you were on board. I'm not. I'm really. I don't. The big part of it for me is like Cool. So basically, what you're telling me is he's gonna achieve this goal at some point, whether it be a hook by hook or crook, or just he does it.
And
Clean.
I feel like so far, I like the story that he must be able to like have a huge. He must be getting the Undertaker treatment where he's writing most of his own story. That's what I say too. Because so far, even the stuff that they've had him done, when he's gonna fight Seth Rollins again, I'm like, okay, their WrestleMania match is actually dope. Seth Rollins is pulling the okay, you only beat me because I didn't know who I was fighting, so I wasn't prepared. Okay, that sort of makes sense. So yeah, let's see these guys fight again. And maybe Cody might actually lose because like that I feel like that's the narrative, the new narrative in both organizations they're telling too. They are making it so like, oh, I feel like both companies are sort of getting rid of the narrative of the hero shows up, he gives a good speech, and he just wins all his matches. Nah, that's like both companies are in sync with that, where it's like you tell a huge story and then you fucking lose. So you're like, oh shit, he lost his second match. Because like even Swerve, I was surprised that Swerve lost like his second match. I was like, oh shit, I didn't know he was gonna lose so soon. I thought he was gonna actually win the FTW title when he fought Ricky Starks.
For my opinion, I think what they're trying to do there is I personally think that they're trying to get past the undefeated streak thing really fast because since AEW has so many new people that pop up every other week, they can't have the same storyline for everybody where it's like, he's undefeated.
The only person that I know we're flip-flopping from AEW, but that's cool.
But
there's only one person that I feel like that gimmick is working for right now. And I only think that it's because they probably have somebody in secret who's going to fight this chick, which is Jade Cargill. I swear, like, every time I watch, like, all right, she's dope. I love her and whatever. And she's got this undefeated reign. She's fighting all these chicks. I'm like, I feel like Tony Khan signed somebody from the past that we don't know. And this person's going to show up and fucking beat Jade Cargill. Or, or even, maybe not even beat her, but just give her a run for her money. Because none of the people that she's really fought have really given her a run for her money either. So I just feel like it's coming at some point. I mean, they kind of did the same storyline in WWE with Asuka. Asuka was undefeated, beat everybody, choking out everybody, and then they put her up against Charlotte Flair. It's like
at the same time, I agree with you. The thing about being in wrestling and being at the top, you need a dance partner. Dusty needed Ric Flair. Stone Cold needed all of the people that he fought through, and everybody in Attitude needed somebody. The Rock needed Triple H. You name it. They always need a dance partner to tell this story because during this time, you're going to I would say we didn't see a mean streak come out of The Rock until he fought Mankind in that I Quit match. Like, that. We're like, oh shit, this pretty boy.
Like, what's the name? Like the story they're telling with Adam Cole and Adam Page, like Hangman Adam Page is like, yeah, these guys are going toe to toe with each other. And now Adam Cole has lost to Hangman twice.
Correct. In Texas Deathmatch. The thing is that's being told there with having a dance partner like that is two things are happening. So once again, getting over and being over, it comes to a point where AEW is doing a absolutely wonderful job at taking people who are already over, putting them in the ring with people who are trying to get over, and making sure that everybody leaves this match squeaky clean. They're like they come in like you could like Keith Lee lost in the tag team match against Taz and what the fuck his name?
Ricky Starks and Hobbs.
Oh, I wasn't thinking, oh no, he got pinned. One, I was thinking, all right, we in Ricky Stark's hometown, and they're actually cheering this bad guy. So if you don't make him win, that's kind of weird. But at the same time, like we accept it as wrestling fans. Okay, he's in his hometown, whatever. Like even MJF gets cheered in fucking Long Island, like everything there.
And there was one significant moment in that match which was dope as shit, which is when what's his name? The other dude, I forget his name. Just that quick with the dreads, his partner.
Swerve.
Swerve. Swerve did a fucking backflip out of the ring onto Ricky Starks and Hobbs using fucking what's the name's chest. He used his chest as a fucking springboard. I was like, yo, shit was amazing. That was awesome.
That's why I say to that. And you know, if anybody, you know, agrees or disagrees, you can make comments below in this video. Or if you listen to audio, you can leave us comments as well, either through social media, Ron Mar Podcast on Twitter, or Ronnie and Markell Podcast on
People
Instagram.
Are like, fuck these guys. They're always shitting on wrestlers like that.
Listen, we love, but we can't like we're giving you
one thing I will say that what was it, Rhode Island Con? When we went to Rhode Island Con, we met Bubba Ray Dudley. I will have to agree with him after watching what Cody did. I kind of do. I'm like, God damn it, another thing where I'm like, all right, I didn't agree with him when he said it then. Well, when that was back when all the releases happened, and we were like, oh, it doesn't make sense. And he said that, you know, some of these releases are good. These people are going to find jobs. They're going to do stuff. But he said, also, this gives people opportunity to grow and get better. I'm like, okay, all right. That actually makes sense because Cody fucking literally did that. So it kind of just, because if you think for all the people who have jumped ship and go to AEW that have gone to AEW, if at any point in the coming years, even CM Punk, there's not a person alive that can tell me if the cold day in hell ended and CM Punk made amends with WWE and his music hit, that people wouldn't fucking hands wouldn't explode that he came back to WWE. Or anybody, the Hardys, anybody, or even some of the people who are over on, you know, AEW stars, like, you know, Ricky Starks, any of those people can't. I feel like they get a huge pop. So that actually, that part of what he said makes sense. But I don't see any of those people leaving anytime soon. I'm thinking that Cesaro, though. I think we may see Cesaro at some point in either Ring of Honor or WWE. I mean, AEW.
I think yes, I agree with you on that. If I could predict for Cesaro, I could see one or two things happening for Cesaro. Either A, Cesaro goes over to Ring of Honor and becomes a big fucking star. He finally gets his like world title, you know, picture run and puts that company on his back and, you know, becomes a big superstar there and puts Ring of Honor on further on the national map, not just the indie circuit. But also, if he went to AEW, I would love to see him join up with the Blackpool Combat, which is Jon Moxley, William Regal, and Bryan Danielson, which those guys would be very interesting just because of the fact that you have this guy who never was really taken seriously being this sort of whoop your ass, like I want to see Cesaro, this big ass strong dude, beat the dog shit out of people. Like I think that not CM Punk, Finn Balor. I feel like Finn Balor fits in that same category with Cesaro, which is a superstar that it's like being a fucking, you know what we are when we watch wrestling? We're casting directors. We're literally watching this shit and we can see, all right, cool. I can watch. I saw 5 minutes when I first saw Keith Lee in NXT. I watched this guy for 5 minutes and I was like, this fucking guy's a star. I don't know what nobody else see, but I see a fucking star. His opening gimmick, his theme music, the way he talks on the mic, everything. I'm like, I guess just with these guys, it's like I feel like going back to a point I was making earlier with AEW's, like one of the things that gets me excited watching almost any of their matches. Not only am I watching all of these people that I'm aware of, but never really seen them fight, but one of the matches from the last 2 weeks that was on the last Rampage that was talked about everywhere was, did you see the match between Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta?
No, I didn't see that one.
Do yourself a favor, check that shit out. That is a true match to show you getting over and being over. John Moxley's totally over. Like, we already know this. John Moxley, Dean Ambrose, that gimmick is fucking.
I mean, he was over 12 times in WWE. So
Dean Ambrose was over there. John Moxley has literally done a 180. He is not Dean Ambrose anymore. This guy here, this is John. Like, John is.
I mean, it's not that much different. I mean, he still has like a I don't really give a shit type of attitude. Let's get in the ring and do this shit.
The in-ring performance is a total different.
Well, I don't mean like his in-ring performance. In-ring performance, he's grown there. I mean like his persona. That's not that different. Like, he still has kind of a like I don't really give a shit attitude. Yeah, he's always kind of been like that.
Yeah, and that works. That works for him. But he's just. I'm telling you right now, if this nigga was a Pokemon, if he was a Pokemon, this is he evolved.
But yeah, he's definitely. You can see people evolve. I said the same thing about Xavier Woods. You remember Xavier Woods used to just stand on the outside of the ring and blow the fucking trumpet and watch Kofi Kingston and what's the name fight? Yeah, I'm forgetting names tonight. What's fucking
Big E?
Oh, Big E. And he would just cheer them on and fight. But now this guy, like, he upped his game, and his in-ring performance is dope too.
So one of the things with the Wheeler Yuta and John Moxley match, please do yourself a favor and watch even just like a 5-minute clip of it, because it is legitimately like maybe a 15-20 minute match, but it's legit like this kid. Wheeler Yuta is, I don't know how old he is, but he is getting over in this match by fighting with John Moxley, because for the last couple of weeks or whatever, they've been doing this thing where, just like Bryan Danielson and Moxley said when they got together, William Regal, we're going to take the youth and we're going to basically run through the AEW locker room and beat the shit out of people. And if you could take it, we might let you join us. But if you can't take it, then you're about to get your ass whooped, basically. That's their motto. And they're going through all of these younger talents, which makes sense. It's the same thing that a great match that was on Dynamite last week with this week with CM Punk versus Penta. Like, when I saw that,
I did see that. That was awesome.
I was like, what? Like, Penta Escuro is gonna fight CM Punk? I don't think I remember ever wanted this match until I got it. And I was like, this is awesome. Now, again, it's funny watching him. Oh, and I'll go back to the Wheeler Yuta in a second. It's funny watching CM Punk, because there are some people who see him as he is now and going, oh, he ain't shit, and this, that, and the other. But I see something different with him. What I see is a guy who is clearly the older version of CM Punk, fighting against all of these young guys, and he's literally having one of those, like, what I like to call a good knockdown, drag out fight with these people, where he's not winning like by squashing anybody. He's going in there and having a fight with these guys and coming out because at the last second he grabbed a beer bottle, hit him over the head, hit to go to sleep, and then he's laying there bleeding like
he's winning with strategy and ingenuity sometimes, not just being the better wrestler. Because the better wrestler could lose to somebody who out strategizes that person.
But to me, I feel like if I could put together like a package, a video package for him, I would go through all the matches that he had in AEW and watch how many times this guy has hit the mat or got busted open, and just make a package of that. And it's so many, and he's fighting against like not just MJFs, not just he ain't going and said, Cody Rhodes, I want to fight you. No, he's fighting.
But you know what? I have to stop you there for a second, because this kind of connects to what I was saying from the beginning of what we're talking about. If you really boil it down and look at what AEW is doing, they're doing what I'm saying that WWE is lacking. Because if you take CM Punk, he's fighting this young guy. Jericho, who's whether it's the first faction he had or this new faction, who's he bringing out with him? A bunch of younger new guys. So like everyone around what's Moxley and Daniel Bryan doing? New guys. They're basically molding the new people, so that when they get out the way, it's like, man, what happens when when Moxley and Daniel Bryanson decided to take a break. Let's go take a year off. But they molded all these other guys that you still want to watch when these guys go away. That's what I mean. Like, they're creating stars. Like fucking MJF. Like, no, don't put no strap on this guy yet. Keep doing what you're doing, because it's gonna be that the crowd is gonna boo and hate this guy that much more when he cheats one day and holds up and wins the fucking world title or whatever. Like, because you just know when that moment comes for him, it's not gonna be a clean victory. It's gonna be some bullshit that he did.
The funny thing with him is that, like, he is got so much heat. Like, in this storyline, you gotta realize, I don't think their next pay-per-view is until like May or June. But they're giving you this long story between him and Wardlow, which is just hilarious to watch each week. And it's literally like, you can't, like, I'm sorry, the comparison of Wardlow is, I can't help but see Batista. That's all I see when I see this guy. This is Batista. And I think we're going to get that same level of a pop and a star being born when he, like, you got to think about that.
Here's what I think too. I think that Wardlow's gonna beat the living shit out of MJF, and then he's gonna lose. That's me. And then, because if I can write this shit myself, MJF gets the beating of a lifetime. He wins the match somehow through cheating, and then you just have Wardlow go away for a while, like Miro. Just have him go away for a while, because that's a pop. That's a later. We gonna see. We put pops in the drawer sometimes. So let's put that. That's gonna be another pop later on when he comes back from vacation.
Wait. Here's for you. This is something I would do, right? This is once again MJF being the heel of heels at this moment in AEW. Let's say he has that fight with Wardlow. Wardlow's whooping his ass. And then he tells him, like, oh, yeah, your contract is ended because I signed somebody else. And you get Braun Strowman to come out there, lay some fucking hands on Wardlow. Because Wardlow's so and tearing through everybody. You need a guy like Braun Strowman. Like, we've seen Braun Strowman in person. Just put some hands on Wardlow.
Yo, this guy is a double balanced breakfast.
That dude is a whole breakfast platter. That dude's a whole breakfast buffet. Like, he has got the muscles, the strength.
I feel like when he did the pose and we took the picture, I felt like his arm was like bigger than the top half of my body. Yes. I was like, what the hell is going on right now?
You wanted to bring him in and have him do something, you could do that. That's, old school wrestling in that sense. But at the same time, just, you got other people out there. Like, FTR is not really feeling MJF at the moment.
FTR's kind of got they're getting over with the fans with this whole tag team thing. So
they're getting a babyface turn. If anybody's noticing, I was watching.
They're getting kind of. I'm like, okay. I mean, I always thought that they were pretty good wrestlers, and I liked their finisher. And when they were in WWE, it's just like the storylines they were getting were But over here, I feel like, all right, they're getting over a lot more. They have more decent storyline, and they keep hinting at these guys fighting the Young Bucks.
So going back to what you were saying before about us sort of being sort of the what some people call the couch coach or the booker, where the couch bookers or whatever, or you saying casting directors. What's really important, what the point you're making there goes right back to that, which is literally what you're telling me is that FTR was good, but they just need better writing. That's it.
Yeah. That's a lot of the problem for the other guys to WWE. Better right. If they have better writing, like, hey, I'm not like saying like, oh, I'm the greatest writer in the world, but if they have better writing, I think those shows would do a whole lot better. Even if you take all the storylines they currently have, I feel like if you were like Zach Morris, like, stop, and you could, all right, if you redirected certain things they're doing, this could be dope as shit.
Like right now, they're Lacey. I don't know if you saw, but Lacey Evans came back, and now Lacey Evans has come back, but she's not doing the Southern Belle gimmick anymore. She's actually doing more of an Army gimmick, which
No, she's doing. It looks like she's doing more of like. You know what this looks like to me? Lace the other gimmick was something they gave her when she first got hired here. So I don't really want. All right, now this looks like all right. I didn't put in enough time, and I could make some say so. This seems more of a gimmick because she does really have a real military background, and all the stuff that she talked about, like that, trials and tribulation. Like if you follow her online or seen some of the small interviews and documentaries they made with her, all this stuff is true. So it seems like they're having her do more of her actual real self. Where they're going with it, I don't know.
So here's the thing, right? What you're basically telling me is that the thing that everyone is, if you ask any of the legends out there, what is it that you think helps get your gimmick over? But of course, the fans are number one, but the number two thing that fans eat up, all just us included, is you got to put a little piece of realism in it. Like, if you met John Moxley, like I met John Moxley at Six Flags in fucking New Jersey for a meet and greet. The same don't give a shit dude that I thought to myself, this guy can whoop my ass, was the same dude I met out there. I don't think he was gimmicking. He was a dude in a short and a tank top. Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for coming out. Like, that kind of persona is something that people can sort of get behind. Being a part of the military, if they don't take this girl, Lacey Evans, and turn her into the fucking female Sergeant Slaughter, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. We're at this point now where it's like, we don't have that. We haven't had an American person, like, a soldier gimmick in a really long time. And then here's the thing. Ooh, what do you know? I wonder if Sergeant Slaughter really went to the Army. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Fucking Army. So, like, the things that he could do, the promos that he could cut, the gimmicks that they could do with that really comes from a person who has the real background. So guess what? You got a real expert on your hands of like what you do. Think about going back to what you're saying with like actors. A lot of these actors, when they got it, like Keanu Reeves for fucking John Wick, they send this guy. It's funny, I did the John Wick choice sitting right here. But John Wick, Keanu Reeves, what did they do for that you know of that they did with Keanu Reeves in order to prepare him for John Wick?
Well, I know he did like acrobatic training. I know he also did like, training with guns and shit. All, yeah, a lot of times before an actor even is on a film set, whatever character I'm supposed to be getting into, that, you doing the research, or you're mimicking somebody. If you're, like I know, what's the name? Jake Gyllenhaal. Like when he did that movie with the dude from Ant-Man, I forget his name, Michael Pena.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he said like, I rode around in patrol cars with cops, and like I followed real cops to see what a regular day in the life of a cop is like. Yeah, you do the research, and ain't nothing better than fucking like, man, how would I learn how to play a heart surgeon in a movie if I followed a fucking heart surgeon around in a hospital all day with a notepad?
I'm not saying that wrestlers have to go method on these things.
Well, no, I know that. What I'm saying, like, you go all in or you don't fucking go at all. Cody's gimmick gets over like fucking crazy because how much of it, like, when you left it, if you were there in person and you left that arena that night, could you be like, bullshit, this doesn't even make sense? Because other people would be like, how does that not make sense? His dad really never won the title. Oh, really? Yeah. And none of them actually won the world title before. Oh, really? So, yeah, it's like, if the details make sense, it's like, yeah, the more the details of this gimmick make sense, the more we fucking believe this make-believe shit. The Undertaker, why do we eat up his gimmick? Because he came out there and he got knocked out. And every time he got knocked out, he sat back up. And you're like, whoa, like you fucking believe all of this shit. So you gotta work the gimmick. You can't have somebody being, my gimmick is the baker, but they never do anything with food. So do they hit somebody in the face with a pie? No. Do they do this with food? No. They don't do shit with food. They just come out and dance and then they wrestle. Why the fuck is his name the Baker? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, the thing about like going back to the Wheeler Yuta and John Moxley match, the thing about that match, what that put that was getting Wheeler Yuta over is the fact that he was taking everything that John Moxley was throwing at him. And he's a young guy and he's covered in blood and he's like, come on, like, you know, that's all you got. And I'm sitting there like, what the fuck is going on right now? Who is this kid? This kid is like in the ring with this dangerous guy, and it's like John Moxley is giving it, and he's giving it his all, and you're getting behind it. He's having false counts and roll-ups and this, that, and they're getting, I'm having fucking goosebumps talking about it. Like this fucking was sitting here like, yo, and I'm sitting there like, yo, what's going on? First time ever since John Moxley has been in AEW, this kid kicked out of the paradigm shift. And we all sitting there like, yo, fucking, and of course, the beautiful storytelling of Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, and Jim Ross sitting there like, what is going on with this kid?
I did, if I'm not mistaken, I did see the end though. Did that kid beat him?
Oh, you didn't beat him. He lost.
He did lose. Oh, okay. Man, was it somebody else? Who was it that he rolled up? He like, it was Billy Gunn. It wasn't Moxley. Oh, he beat Billy Gunn. Okay.
So here's the thing, right? By again, Billy Gunn over like fucking crazy. Like what does he need to do? He's Billy Gunn.
Well, so which also makes sense because you got this younger guy. He beat a legend. Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. Build him up before he fights Moxley. Yeah, it makes sense to me. That's what I'm saying, man. They're building potential people who are gonna become superstars in this company. That's what I mean. Like, they have enough people. They have enough people on the roster just right now. That's like, all right, you nurture these people. You keep giving them these consistently dope storylines. And another couple of years, these guys are gonna be household names. But when I look across the pond at WWE, it's like, it's not like you got to copy, but you need to go back. Like I always make that joke with the Water Boy. You need to go back. Vince McMahon needs to show up, man up, tell Tony Khan, give us our playbook back, snatch it back, and then go back and remember that, hey, you know, when you go to the locker room for the women, let's start with the women first. Remember that Liv Morgan and some of these other Dana Brooks and all these other women who keep getting these minuscule storylines where they're getting married or they're doing this or that. It's like, because literally, and I don't know if you can see it coming. One thing I see coming before it happens is I see them turning Rhea Ripley heel again because what was it, a couple weeks ago, she was going to walk away from the Liv Morgan tag thing. And then Liv Morgan's like, no, please, let's do this. And she's like, all right. And then they had her like smile and I believe that she's going to beat the shit out of her. And I hope the rumors that I saw online are true with her winded up joining Edge. Because I feel like when I first learned about Rhea Ripley, she was a heel in NXT UK. And that's what made me like her. Because she was a heel and she used to talk shit about people and beat up people. I'm like, you know what? Let's have her go back to that because that could help. And also too, I feel like she's mid-level over with the fans. But if you align her with somebody like Edge, I think, yeah, just like Damian Priest, you probably can get them over in his little, gimmick he's doing right now.
Again, it's a trope in the business. Put them in a faction with somebody that is already over. Let them go under the learning tree, travel with, talk to, have that person in their ear behind them. Build this faction up. Give them title belts if you want. Like you do.
You talked about it earlier before we did the show. You were talking about Evil, the Hulk Hogan. I only thought about that because if Hulk Hogan joining Scott Hall and Kevin Nash to form the NWO wasn't one of the biggest fucking, like, if you never thought that Diesel or Scott Hall, I could never like these guys. If Hulk Hogan showing up and leg dropping Macho Man and becoming a heel and being with these two. There's not a person alive on this planet Earth cannot tell me that if Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were not over, that night they were over. They were over like
because you got to remember, both of those guys were champions in WWE and big personas.
I know that they were already over, but I just feel like if you never thought they were, because we know Hogan was over when he body slammed Andre the Giant. That was a wrap for him. He was over for. But if you never thought those two guys were over, their title run sucked. That night solidified them forever. That was just like history in the making like this. So that's what we mean. Like, we're definitely in agreement with that. Like, you got to be over. And that's, I feel like, that's a question to pose for the people listening too. Like, if you agree with us or don't disagree, leave comments in the, leave your comments. Let us know what you think, because is the WWE heading to a brick wall if they do not do something to make more superstars?
I think that they have their own path. Personally, in my opinion, they have their own path to making superstars in their own way. I don't personally agree with it. I personally like the way that AEW is telling stories and making their mid-card guys. I've said it before on the show, and I'll give a brief version of it again. In your wrestling organization, you need 3 different tiers. You need your big superstars that you can put on a poster and sell tickets and put asses in seats. You need your mid-card guys, which is basically if something happens where Roman Reigns breaks his fucking neck and is in the hospital for 6 months, you need your mid-card people to pull up to the heavyweight division quickly within a snap. People that are mid-card, give you a great example. Finn Balor, mid-card, can go from mid-level, heavyweight title match second. AJ Styles, you name it. There's a bunch of people that's on the middle level that you can pull up here, and they're at that point at this point. Now, that doesn't mean that those people are subject to that just means that that's where they sit in the company in terms of they're usually not fighting for the world title. They might be fighting for tag team titles, but they're also high enough on the card that their match on the pay-per-view might be second or third, right? So then you have the lower level. The lower level consists of the arcade, what's his name? The R-Truth.
I was gonna say like the 24/7 title, the stuff they're doing with that.
Things are important because it breaks up the seriousness of the shows, right? Like, I'll give you an example. Hook is getting over on Rampage. Danhausen is the first level stuff. Danhausen isn't even fought yet, but he's entertaining. He's funny. He's there. Somebody who they took from the low level, which again, it's a tier system. So you can take Orange Cassidy, who was just a dude that was just really cool at standing around, and then you made him fight Chris Jericho. He came up here, and then he fought Kenny Omega in a fucking triple threat match for the AEW World Heavyweight title. So you build the middle out. You can't pull fucking.
I would say what's the name too? Sammy Guevara. Like, I feel like he's a guy in the middle that we know is going to be another guy we know is going to be future world champ at some point.
That is the 3 layers of the beautiful wrestling industry sandwich. And if you have a good organization and you're smart, you build that up. I can tell you most of
and think about that too. Just speaking of Sammy Guevara, Scorpio Sky is also another guy who can go from mid to high because he's fought in Chris Jericho for the world title.
Sammy Guevara, yeah, it's true. Sammy Guevara just won the title back again. He's a 3-time champion. So yeah, he just won the title again. He's mid-level. He's a worker. All of your workers that are getting over or might already be so really close to being over are right in the mid-level. Your mid-card. Build that healthy-ass middle. And what's basically happening at WWE and thinking of that same tier is they got a small top, which is maybe like 10 NXT names. Then you got the mid-card, which is just people they treat like shit. And then you got the bottom level, which is like, again, the 24/7 title gimmicks and other little gimmicks that they have in NXT and stuff like that. All of those little things, those guys are so far away from being up here. Like, it would be a fucking cold day in hell if you saw fucking R-Truth going Roman, I'm the next one to fight for the title because he's on fucking the bottom level. Like,
well, like for me, there's one woman in particular. Like, I don't know if it's just her preference that she loves NXT, but if not, Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai, I feel like she's been on NXT for a long time, and several women have done this. They have walked past her. Like, there have been women who came there that, like, after her, who are on the main roster now fighting for, like, even Bianca Belair. Like, Bianca Belair was there at the same time as Dakota Kai, and Bianca Belair is now the Raw Women's Champion. Like, other women have gone on to do that, but she's still, so either, I feel like it's either one or two things. Either, like, she doesn't, like, she's comfortable where she is, or maybe they don't think she's ready. She's not ready. So they just keep her there. Or they ain't got nobody else. So you know what? Here's some extra money. We need you to stay here as long as we can have you here.
Correct. And they have their own thing. So in that same like building of building up stars, going back to the Wheeler Yuta match, which I say for this month so far, one of the best matches I've seen this month so far. Between an older guy and a young guy, like obviously John Moxley's not super old. He's still got like another 10 years in him or whatever.
I like the Penta CM Punk was dope too.
Penta and CM Punk was amazing, but here's where the storytelling comes in, right? So the last time Wheeler Yuta was in the ring, I think he fought Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan beat the shit out of him, and then afterwards he tried to shake William Regal's hand, and William Regal just looked at him and slapped the shit out of him, right?
Yeah.
But that was because he gave Bryan Danielson a good match, even though he lost, right? So then he fought against Jon Moxley, and once again, if this is WWE, they would have made him roll up Jon Moxley and win. Instead, Jon Moxley basically is like, oh, you kicked out of my paradigm shift? I'm just going to hit you with a harder paradigm shift. And now 1, 2, 3. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. Just remember, he's still Jon Moxley, which is called, I'm not going to let this, beginning level mid-card guy get over on my top level guy. Fucking Jon Moxley and Daniel Bryan are top tier AEW superstars. Like, you can't fucking deny that. Any one of those guys can fight for the title tomorrow, and you're watching that match. That's what I mean.
You know what? It's genius if you think about it in that same effect. I'm thinking about that with Adam Cole and Hangman Adam Page. Clearly, we know in the wrestling industry which one of these guys is a bigger star, because it's not Adam Page. It's Adam Cole. We know that, but that's why they have him losing. And he's basically, even though Adam Page is the champion, Adam Cole is helping him stay over by beating him. Because, and it's genius too, because they have a history from other companies. They're using all that to, all right, we know that you went on and you got a little more fame, so we're going to use that to, okay, now Adam Page can finally say he got one over on you finally.
Correct. And the thing with those two, so again, we talk about what I said earlier, where everybody needs a dance partner. The thing about Hangman Adam Page was that he needed somebody that's as over as Adam Cole, because they're doing something for each other, right? I feel like Adam Page is getting a good title run by defending it against a really good opponent. But two, what is Adam Page? I ask you this. What do you think Adam Page is doing for Adam Cole in this situation?
Well, Adam Cole is a really good heel, and I feel like I keep calling him like a younger generation Triple H. So he can use these losses to play the blame game, and still, he still gets over because he can be like, yeah, he won by luck because my boot was, not laced up properly. So it makes him become a greater level heel, because he's still going to keep talking shit like the first match. Oh, he won by luck. It's a fluke. He can't beat me. Probably going to say the same thing again the next time we see him on TV. He just took advantage. I had pneumonia that night. And that's the same thing. If you remember, Triple H used to do the same thing when he would lose to Shawn Michaels or lose to somebody. He would come out and be like, oh, he didn't really beat me. That was a fluke. It just helps, So they do help each other, because it just helps solidify him as a stronger heel.
And also the big thing that he needed, because once again, he's a small guy. Met him in person. He's probably like 5'10" or something like that, right? He's a guy that's fighting against Adam Page, who is literally, this guy is a freaking heavyweight. Like, you can see how big this dude is. He's a heavyweight, right? So they're establishing each other. Like, he's establishing Adam Cole in AEW as a heavyweight contender.
Too.
You got a guy who's at the top of the mountain as a champion. He's pulling a guy up from the mid card up to this level and saying, I'm not going to let you go back down here. I need you to stay up here with me. Like, that's where they're establishing him at. So when he is in the title picture again in the future, or whether he wins the title, you're trying to establish him as, this is a thing that he went after before. And it's not so hard to believe that Adam Cole could be a heavyweight.
And you know, the genius level that you can see that they know that. Like, you notice when he first came, they had him with Kenny Omega. They had him with the Young Bucks because it was also a reunion, you know, for them. But quickly, they went away from that. And they moved, you know, Kenny Omega went away, Young Bucks. He, like, distanced himself from them because they want you to also remember, just like when he was in NXT, I can hold my own, and I'm my own man. I don't need these motherfuckers to be a star.
I'm gonna tell you something right now. That what you're talking about right there, my friend. I saw the beginning of that storyline come to pass, and I swear it feel like they're gonna capitalize on it. Because one thing I like about AEW that they do really well is they have long form storytelling down to a science with a lot of stuff. And I saw when Kenny Omega in real life, he went away for surgery and he's out, and he should be back in like a month or so. And the crazy thing is I saw that when he was leaving, I saw in Adam Cole's eyes an opportunity to sort of take over, but not just to try to, okay, I'm going to take over and I'm become the new leader of, you know, the elite or whatever. But he saw it as, there's two things that can happen here. Either A, at some point in time, he does beat Hangman Adam Page and becomes the AEW champion. But remember, the last thing that Kenny Omega had was the world title before he left. At the same time, if Kenny Omega came back and let's say he beat Hangman Adam Page, that's not, that they already have a history. But at the same time, if he's standing there with the title again, standing next to Adam Cole, you've already set the fucking wheels in motion, because he's just going to look at that belt and go, well, you know, I could have beat that guy too, but, you know, things kept happening, making those excuses. And Kenny's like, yeah, whatever. And he's just like, yeah, whatever. Like, you gonna disrespect me? Like, I'm heavyweight champion. Like, while you was sitting on the bench, I was having Texas death match. Like, it's real. Like, it's all, it's like some shit that you gotta like pull out your ass, or have a team of fucking sitcom writers sit in a room.
All these guys that what? Built superstars on the rise. That's what I'm saying. That's what it's crazy. And all that spurred in my mind from fucking Cody, the little segment with Cody and the Miz. I thought when he was like superstars, when Cody said wrestlers and the Miz was correcting him like superstars. But it's kind of the same thing, because it's like, well, you get in the ring and you wrestle, so you're wrestlers. But I get it, superstars. But yeah, so I thought about that, like, yeah. They don't have any. There's no more Undertakers or Hogans or Cenas, or it's like, but you need those people. Ultimately you need those people. You need the big names to, you know, like it's the same reason why when you go to a concert to see Madonna, but the opening act is, you know, Mary Winslow. Because Mary Winslow's not over yet. Mary Winslow has a fan base and she's doing well, but we need to keep bigging up Mary Winslow. That's why she's going to open the show, so people can, okay, all right. And you also like, wow, she's big enough that Madonna said, yeah, I want her to be my opening act. You know, same thing with, you go to a comedy show, and I only know this because I just went to one. You go to a comedy show. Sometimes if Martin Lawrence is doing stand-up comedy, there may be a mid-card level comedian who comes out and tells a few jokes before he comes out. So it works. It doesn't matter which industry you're in. It's like a thing. It's a cycle of things that need to happen. But just like all those other industries, how do you become a superstar? How do you make the superstar? Think about it this way. Why is that a common thing done in music, comedy shows? Because you need to keep building new stars. Because knock on wood, Martin Lawrence isn't going to live forever. So we need new stars. Like we need to always be thinking about another, more people. So that's just something I don't know if, I'm pretty sure if like, it's probably a thought to them. I just don't know with the product that we watch. It doesn't look like that's something on there at the top of their mind. Cause I'm like, you need the Undertakers and this person and that person because,
the thing that I believe is what they stand behind. I believe is I think that they do feel like they can build superstars because they are still the one thing that no one can deny is that WWE is still a household name. So they feel as if they can just simply make a guy who you've seen once in a while get over because they have the machine that can get you over faster than an AEW can, faster than a NWA can, or any of those other ones. And in a way, they're partially, it is partially true. Like if you took a guy like Austin Theory, I'll take a guy like Austin Theory, and if you put him around long enough, you make him win some championships, you make him do this, that, and the third, you can take this guy and make him at least a very, very, very strong mid-card guy in a short period of time, right? Like wouldn't even take a bunch of time to do it. It's just a matter of I look at that and I say, oh, well, how do they do that? Well, it's very simple. They're WWE. And the longer that they sit on that same lore of like, oh, I'm WWE, I can just make a star tomorrow, whether you like again, Bianca Belair, whether they wanted to take out the sound and try to add in some cheers and shit like that. When she came out the Raw after WrestleMania with the title, there were some boos in there. And it's not because of the fact that she's bad. Now, by any stretch of the imagination, I don't think Bianca Belair is bad. I personally don't like her gimmick, but I don't think Bianca Belair.
I don't think it's that she's bad. I think that half the crowd doesn't feel like she's on the same level as a Becky Lynch. So yeah, they think Becky Lynch is top tier. She's still mid-card. She should still be mid-card. That's probably what some of those people think. How is she the Raw champ? She should still be mid-card. So that means that she's probably not 100% over.
She's not. I don't think she's 100% over. I think that in the new age of people that are growing up seeing these stars, they're going to grow up seeing a Becky Lynch, a Charlotte Flair, a Bianca, Asuka, whatever, right?
For me, I feel like the only reason, and maybe it's just a little biased, so the only reason she's over for me, one, I mean, I have grown to appreciate her more because when I first saw her gimmick in NXT, God, what are they doing with this black woman? They're making a stereotype. But as I continue to watch her, I said to myself, well, also what I see is somebody I don't really see that much, which is a black wrestler, black female wrestler. Because think like black female wrestlers are a dime a dozen in the wrestling business, period. Not even WWE. You don't see that many black female wrestlers. So I thought, you know what? Like she's doing her thing, and if that's her gimmick, you know what? I'm not even gonna hate on it because because if I take her out of the equation and I just name Naomi, I'm trying to think of how many other black WWE female stars I know of.
What you're basically saying?
Sasha Banks. Okay, well, we got 3.
I'm gonna tell you like this. What you're basically me is I'm gonna accept it because I ain't got that many. I better just accept what I can get.
Not that. I'm thinking more like how we were saying about like when we go to cons, how we go to cons sometimes, and we're, we got our posters, we're running after Tom Cruise, and then now we're starting to think, well, I'm running after Tom Cruise. I'm forgetting about the black guy who created, like the launching pad for Black Panther, or this person. I'm forgetting about some of my own people who are just as great. I'm like, yeah, I'll get them later. So like, I feel like that's why I'm kind of more like, wait, yeah, Montez Ford, yeah, I'm saying Montez Ford. Dawkins, Bianca Belair, okay, because you realize like, well, there's not that many of us. Like, you're gonna get your Seth Rollins and all those other people all day long, but there's not a lot of us. So I feel like, yeah, not that you have to accept, you don't have to like their gimmick or whatever, but I feel like, yeah, I will garner I will be in their corner and support them, because I feel more like, well, there ain't a lot of us here. So if she's who we got, yeah, I'm gonna be in your corner.
I get what you're saying. I'm just not following them for that reason, in the sense of like, well, these are
I'm not following them. No, I'm not just following them just for that.
Kids, so I better take them. Like, what?
No, because I genuinely like them. Anyway, like, I know you call the Street Profits fake ass New Day, but I'm like, no, I genuinely like the Street Profits. But the Bianca Belair, like, I've even seen her like in ring performance evolve from NXT. Like, yeah, she's a lot better than she used to be even in NXT. So yeah, she's definitely. I mean, she still has the same gimmick when she comes out dancing. I would, if we ever get to interview Bianca Belair, when we get to interview Bianca Belair, the number one question I have is, you got to be tired before you even get to fight, right? Because she always does that run to the ring dancing. I'm like, I feel like that's got to be, that reminds me of like Ultimate Warrior, where he came sprinting to the ring before the match. I'm like, yo, was you tired? I would love that. When he was,
I understand the question, but I think that when you're in the ring like that, she looks like a very fit person. So I imagine she's got cardio for days. So she probably can get her adrenaline pumping by doing the dance and shit like that.
Yeah, she gets the adrenaline pumping, but that's probably why I wonder too, is that why in a lot of Bianca Belair matches, is that why she comes out first? Is that so she can catch her breath while the other person comes out?
Maybe could be. I want to make sure that, like, at least from my standpoint, the reason that I don't really gravitate towards Street Profits and Bianca Belair, in my opinion, is because their gimmicks feel like stereotypes. At the same time, like, the Street Profits to me are like the worst of the like ghetto stereotype of like the modern, black young guy. Hey, yo, fam lamb, let me holler at you for a second. It's just like,
yeah, but I mean, there are genuine people that's how they are.
Yeah, but I mean,
I don't know. It feels organic to me. It don't feel that, like, I feel like if you met either one of them on the street, I don't think you get that different of a person. Like, maybe they turn it up, like they turn it up a notch, because they're in the ring. But I feel like even normal them is probably still like, yo, what's up, fam? How you doing?
Okay, so I'm gonna put it in the context of like watching the show like Atlanta. I feel like one day we're gonna be somewhere and they're gonna be coming out and you're gonna be standing there with me, and there's gonna be like a group of white kids all dressed like them going, yo, fam lamb, what's up? And you're gonna be standing there looking at them like, oh, this is what that the stereotype.
But see, you gotta pause there and look. They're still inspiring those kids, no matter what color they are. They're still inspiring them.
What you're saying is they're getting their money. That's what you meant to say.
Well, no, they're getting over too. Yeah,
like I just wish that they had.
I'll tell you, one of the best moments Bianca Belair had was that when she wore that outfit that said Black History in the making. That right there, I was like, that was dope to me. That was dope to me just because, like, we don't have a lot. Like you know, you know what you know what's funny about black people, and it's gonna be crazy to say it this way. We're almost like we're the Autobots, and everybody else is the Decepticon. Autobots is always a little bit like it's not a lot of Autobots. There's always way more Decepticon.
Call it minority. It's real.
Yeah, there's no, I know, but I'm just saying, like, I wanted to use that because, like, there's always way more Decepticons than there are Autobots. So it almost feels like that when it comes to different industries, like, you know, and wrestling's one of them. There's not a lot of, especially the WWE, because I can think of Naomi, Sasha, Bianca. When I think of, if somebody said name all the black wrestlers in WWE, I'm like Bianca, Sasha, Naomi. Now, if the three of them take a vacation, where's your black female wrestlers? Oh, they ain't here right. Oh, you can leave a message. They're not here right now. Like, what the fuck?
Between them is if you look at their gimmicks, I feel like Naomi's gimmick started as a dancer, and then once she became a wrestler, she continued the dancing. So clearly, dancing is in her actual background. So she just continued on with the gimmick. Sasha Banks has that, like, you know, get this paper mindset. So she's always the legit boss. Let's do this and the third. And then the thing is that Bianca Belair is like, she's the athlete, but she comes out there with the, I whip my hair back and forth, I whip my hair back and forth, I whip my, like, that's the, she comes out there like she's with, like, Willow, she's you know, what's his face? Will Smith's lame daughter. Willow
but
Smith.
she could, but at the same time, she would bust your ass too.
But that's the thing though, right? That's what I feel like. I understand Bianca Belair in the sense that she has a gimmick that's similar in one way to the New Day, which is she comes out there whipping her hair, dancing, but when she gets in the ring, it's all business and she's dope. I never say anything about her.
Actually, too, I feel like she kind of borrows from Bret Hart because she always says, I'm the quickest, the fastest, the bestest. Like she is branding herself as that. Like same thing like he did with best there was, best there is, best there ever will be. That's kind of like, in a sense, what she's saying about herself in terms of the female athletes.
Dude, I totally get her gimmick in that sense, and that's fine. The hair whip shit is the only thing I have a problem with. Like that shit, like even a little 3D graphic of her is just like big lips and the whip. And I'm like, okay.
And then that's why I say part of her gimmick seems real to me, just because also remember that she's from Tennessee. So when she's like, child, I feel like, I don't know if that's a gimmick because I'm pretty sure that people probably do talk like that in Tennessee.
No, but what you're telling me is the gimmick. Like you're telling me about her when she opens her mouth and does stuff in the ring, and I'm fine with that. I got a problem with the I'm sorry, just gonna call it what I see. It seems cooning, like it's got the cooning.
I ain't gonna say that. She definitely ain't.
Lord Jesus, let me get out of here. Whip my head.
No.
Let me whip my head back and forth. It is.
I mean, because if you say that, then you gotta say the same thing about Riddle. like Riddle's coming out there. Riddle's coming out there going real. Then he's jumping in the ring and taking off his flip flops. Like, yeah, he's doing the same thing. He killing it.
For me, I feel like
he's doing the surfboard. Hey, Randy, yeah, and what he's doing. He's every time Riddle comes, and I love Riddle. He's like a wrestler I like, but every time Riddle talks in a promo, I can't help but think, welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order? That's what I think of every fucking time Riddle talks.
He's to me.
And I guarantee you now talking about somebody who's is not organic. I know damn well Riddle ain't. Hey, bro, you know that shit's a gimmick, and that's not how he fucking talks.
I don't know. I never seen him anything else. Like I know he
because even when we met him, I think you were still there, right? Even when we met him when he was outside, he was just like, "Hey, what's going on? Picture?" Yeah. I mean, he wasn't like, "Yeah, what's up, bro?" I was like, "Yeah, that's just a fucking gimmick."
which I understand, but I understand his gimmick completely of like he is legitimately, to me, he feels like a young RVD with where he, and I really do say young because he's RVD before RVD became just an amazing wrestler. So he's still got a long way to go, but the gimmick of like him just being him, bro, is that like you could, yeah, it's got that surfer white dude kind of vibe, West Coast, check him out at the beach with all the girls, and it's like, hey girls, take a look at the abs over here kind of thing. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. And it's like, yo, bro, like he'll come up to you and go, yo, bro, what's going on? And hit you with the fist bump. And it's like, he's not saying bro to be disrespectful. That's just the way he is, from what he's learned. But it's, I don't know. Again, not to beat a dead horse, as I always say.
Hey man, stop trying to kill horses on this show, man. We support all animals here.
Sometimes it's hard. These horses just come out and you gotta beat them. But in before we move on to our next segment of the show, where we get into reviewing the latest episode of Moon Knight, episode 3, I just want to say that I really do appreciate the storytelling that's happening on AEW. The thing that I was trying to say about the Wheeler Yuta in terms of one of the best parts of the match was towards the end, which was once Wheeler Yuta lost, he then took his own blood and like wrote on his like chest the BCC, which is the Blackpool Combat Club, which is them. And then I saw Brian Danielson and William Regal come out there. And without saying anything, they all came out there and they looked like they was about to jump him. But then when he got up, like William Regal just like gave him the like, you got something, kid. Like, I see something in you. Like, and they just kind of gave him sort of an honorary membership to the BCC or whatever, which that level of respect puts from William Regal, who is the old school, being in the ring with Daniel Bryanson and John Moxley, who are current old school, and being in there with the future, with somebody like Wheeler Yuta, it is a culmination of everything that we watch this stuff for. We watch this stuff for the storytelling aspect of it, because we love to see the performances. We know it's predetermined. We're all adults now at this point, but we still want to feel like there's stakes, and we still want to feel like we don't know who's going to win. I'm just being completely honest. And you can't help but compare the two organizations to one another, because they are the number 1 and number 2 organizations on TV right now for wrestling. You can't help but compare the two, but I just got to call a spade and say, if one is consistently trying to, like, I'll give you the Roman Reigns, it's like missionary every night to say when you're trying to do that shit. And that's what, it's funny that he said that about John Cena, because a lot of us who are longtime fans like you and me feel like that about WWE. It's the same old gimmick over and over.
And it's funny because we've also felt like that about him. So they've changed it. I will say though that Roman is probably the most relevant thing in WWE right now, because I mean the dialogue that they've given this man in the last few weeks has been fucking hilarious. Because when my man came out on Raw and was like, all right, now that we beat Brock, all right, we gonna let y'all know the next moves. I was like, I feel like I've never heard any shit like that in the history of watching that show. He said, all right, yeah, tune in Friday. We're gonna let y'all know. We're gonna go here Sunday Eve. We're gonna let y'all know what's going on. I'm like, wait, what? Like, and then Friday, he was like, yo, it made me think of House Party when he was like, you know what? Burning house. Like, burning house? Roman took the Usos and was like, yo, we just getting all the gold. Like what? Like, yeah, y'all go to Raw, get the other tag team title. We got all the belts. They're like, we get all the belts. I'm like, well, okay. And if that really happens, it is going to be the most hilarious shit in the history of this company. I swear, when I watched that and I heard that Friday,
hey man, it's gonna be so lame.
No, it is, but at the same time, it's also it's lame and hilarious at the same time, because I'm listening to this and I'm like, please tell me that I'm not gonna look up at a WWE event like 5 months from now, and Roman gonna be like, "Acknowledge me," and he gonna be wearing the Universal, the World, and like the fucking Intercontinental title, and then the Usos gonna have both tag team. I'm like, yo, what is? And then like say Jerry Uso gonna be wearing the U.S. title. Like, yo, what is happening? And then what he gonna do from there? Roman gonna be like, you know what? Now we got to get Paul Heyman some stuff. I was like, yo, what's happening here? Like, this is hilarious. But I mean, hey, so you got to find, with whatever you think is bad about the show, you got to find something you think is good. And right now, for me, I feel like if I point out the only thing that keeps me interested these days, sadly enough, I'm gonna say is Roman. And probably Edge's new thing, because I want to see where this goes. Because, like, I know that Edge is a good seller of this product. So I feel like, all right, let's see. We know that it's not just going to be him and Damian Priest, but there's going to be at least one or two more people that joins his faction. Let's see who they're going to be and where they're going with this. So, yeah, those are the only two things, But like I said about creating more superstars, because this is the first year of my life of watching wrestling. And you know this personally. I was a guy who in the past, especially back in my early 20s, who would get fired from a fucking job to watch WrestleMania. Like, I would tell them months in advance, hey, see this day right here? I can't work that day. Why are you telling us now? That's 4 months from now. Because I'm just letting you know I can't work that day. And then and if any of my old bosses could vouch for me, they would come to you like, yeah, this motherfucker would come to us repeatedly every other day and keep pointing out, I can't work this day. Like, all right, we got it. That's 4 months from now. Like, get back to work. All right. And if that day came and at WrestleMania, it's like, cool, I'm on the schedule. Cool. I guess I'm getting fired because I'm not coming. I'm going home to watch this. And of course, that's aging us too, because that was before we had all this technology to watch, pay-per-views and shit on our phone like we do now. But now this past year was like the first. I didn't even know when WrestleMania was for the longest. So I was like, meh. I just wanted to know who won from Roman and Brock, and that was it. I didn't give two shits about the entire card of WrestleMania. And I knew that Ronda was going to lose. I knew in my head that she was going to lose just because they're not going to. First of all, they like milking shit. And they weren't going to repeat like, oh, they weren't just going to happy ending and Ronda's back and she's a champ again. I knew they weren't going to do that. So,
which makes sense. I think that, again, with it coming to the end of our wrestling segment, I'm looking forward to seeing what WWE does at their pay-per-views, because it seems like everything basically builds up to their pay-per-views, and their weekly show just kind of is meh. Now, and then the opposite occurs on the other end of the spectrum, in my opinion. I feel like I get a pay-per-view level from Dynamite specifically. I feel like I get a pay-per-view level of matches every week, which is like,
yeah.
Yo, Tony Khan, do you know that this Texas death match could have happened at the next pay-per-view? Nah, we doing it tonight.
It's like, yeah, that's tonight. Yeah, CM Punk versus Samoa Joe for the Ring of Honor TV title. Yo, when is that? At the next pay-per-view? Oh, no, that's tonight. And it's the opening match. Wait, what?
Which to me is also one of those things where it's like, they have CM Punk on the path, like they're counting up the people. He's 5th on the card right now. I think him beating Penta puts him 4th on the card, which basically means probably by the next pay-per-view, whoever the champion is at that point, then CM Punk is basically going to be the number one contender at some point. And maybe he wins, maybe he doesn't win. We don't know. Like, I don't want to automatically say, oh yeah, CM Punk is going to automatically win, because
I don't think he's going to automatically win. They could pull an Alexa Bliss with him just because. That's the same thing like I said about Cody when he left and we didn't know what he was doing. And I was like, well, I don't rule out WWE because he didn't leave there on bad terms. I love the narrative of wrestling sometimes because it makes us forget about a person too. And I don't forget that CM Punk was a heel before too. So they could, because right now we got Adam Page, which is a babyface. So clearly the next champ might be a heel. So it's like they could have if CM Punk will be the one to beat Page, they could have him win the title and then make him a heel.
Personally, in my opinion, the person I would like to see him fight for that title, because once again, it would be one of those, I don't give a shit what I'm doing this day. I don't give a fuck what's going on in your life. I'm going to go watch this match, which is if I had a guy for him to go fight where I would not know who was going to win, there would be one guy and one guy only from AEW, and that would be Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega from CM Punk versus CM Punk. Who wins?
CM Punk? Wow, that would be a good one.
Two guys who have never fought from totally different generations, and both two worker guys. Nobody's walking into that match going, Kenny Omega's got that bag. Like nobody. Yeah. Like that's. Hey, when's the last time you watched a match from WWE and that was like that? I'm sorry, you just got to compare them. Please tell me when's the last time you watched a match like that? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, there is no way in hell you're gonna sit here and tell me WrestleMania 38 that you weren't 98% sure that Roman Reigns is walking away with the title. Come on.
And I was 98% sure he was, just because of what we were talking about. Like, Brock is the last of the old era, and Roman represents the new era. Whether we like it or not, he represents like the current future of the company. So it was almost like a passing of the torch sort of thing. So yeah, it was like, we know this guy is gonna win.
Haven't seen him since. And then
not to mention, like, Brock is one of the future Hall of Famer and one of the best. And Brock is champion is what? Just him running through the roster? Like, I've seen this guy who's fighting Brock. He beats the shit out of everybody.
Pretty much. At this point, it's like, what are you doing with this guy? Like, you're literally going to set yourself up for failure by trying to put people up.
Brock just is there. He's there as another Goldberg and another, the only person who gets the hint about not coming back to fight in more matches to me is Shawn Michaels. He's done it once, and that's it. It's like, all right. And even that probably was a favor. It probably was a favor or something they had to talk him into. Like, all right, I guess. I don't really.
It's clear cut, man. Like, they're not trying to, BS. They're not trying to BS around. They're literally going to listen. We have something. We have these guys, and that we're going to put our chips on. We saw during the pandemic who they put their money on, and those are the people that they feel are the most valuable assets in the company. Bottom line, they put their chips on these different people, and those are the people. Anybody who was going to be there. Roman Reigns said, "Middle finger to you. I'm not here during no pandemic. You can go ahead and do that shit on your own." That dude, he didn't come back until freaking what do you call it? What was it? 2020 or was it 2021 SummerSlam?
2021, I think. What I will say, another good thing about WWE is these last few years have produced way more minority champions than I think ever in the history of that company. And I don't just mean black people. I mean, like, in general. I mean, like, your current double champion is Samoan. It's like, you cannot tell me if you turn the clock back 10 years that you've seen this many minority champions in WWE. It's like now you got this. If you think how many they had Oscar, they had this person, they had that person, they had this person, this person. It's like, even now, like, looking at the current roster, it's like, well, we got Ricochet, we got Sasha, we got Naomi, we got Roman. We had Shinsuke. It's like, you got more minorities than ever as champions, and that is not a thing that was a long history of that company.
All I'm gonna say is I agree with you, and personally, I will let you guys do your own research. But there were two movements that occurred within the last couple of years that I'll just say that at the center of those movements, the bad guys in those movements weren't minority. And that was the Me Too movement and the Black Lives Matter movement. the center of the opposition of those forces, primarily of them, they weren't minorities. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
No, I get it. I get it.
That's so when you're trying to put some like Wonder Bread Boy or Wonder Bread Boy as your like flagship of your company, when those two folk, that particular person is not necessarily deemed that popular right now, maybe you want to give minorities a chance. Hey, I'm saying
no,
I
get it. Hey, I get it. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot. So you think there might have been a couple of board meetings like, who do you want to be the next Intercontinental Champion? Because I was thinking Sami Zayn. Like, we're going with Ricochet. Ricochet? Why? I'll tell you later. But this board meeting's over.
I'm gonna go ahead and just put it there for you. Like, maybe right now, like if you this is WWE shopping in the bread aisle, and they're going down the bread aisle and they see Wonder Bread, they see the regular bread, they see this, and they go, "Oh, wheat bread, okay."
Because even if you think of the older days, and then we can move on to the Moon Knight, but even if you think about the older days of WWE, even when they were WWF, the Samoans have always had a long running dynasty in WWE, but they weren't always like at the top. They were like in tag team and other stuff. They were kind of like mid-level. Like, so that's also like, that's great for their legacy too, because it's like, oh, if you think about it now, it's like, well, oh, the Samoans are running shit. They just running everything. They're the tag team and they got the fucking top titles.
I would say what you're saying specifically is in the singles division. In the singles division, they have not been the top tier. In the
they weren't the top tier. They were just kind of like before The Rock. They were just like the tag team and, and kind of like, the entertainment. They come out and they do some dances and they fight some matches. But now with Roman Reigns and the Usos, they rewriting shit right now because it's like, all right, cool. Name me another Samoan guy who was the champ for a long ass time besides The Rock and Roman Reigns. Yeah. Like, oh, I'll wait. Like, or yeah. What other Asian? Name another Asian person who was the Intercontinental Champion besides Shinsuke. I guess it's funny. I can think of one guy who was Intercontinental Champion years before Shinsuke, and what the fuck is this guy's name? God, it was another Asian guy who was super popular, but he was popular back in like the early 90s. But see what I mean? Like, it was a long ass block.
Wait, which one are you talking about? Are you talking about the one that had the tattoos all over him?
No, not him. It was another guy. I forgot the fuck that. I'd have to probably look up the history of the Intercontinental title.
There was only like 5 of these guys. So there was Kai Tai. There was the dude that held the tattoos. I can't remember his name. He had the like white hat, white pants, and tattoos all over his body. Then there was Tajiri.
Tajiri. Was it Tajiri? Oh, Tajiri. I think Tajiri was one of them.
What other Asian guy are you talking about?
There was another little Asian guy with short haircut. I forget his name's at the tip of my freaking tongue, but I forgot his name.
The Taka dude? Did you talk about the dude with the blue and the black pants?
Yes, that's what I'm talking. What was his name? I forgot.
Pushu? I think his name was Taka Michinoku.
Oh, Taka Michinoku. That guy was like the Shinsuke of like the 90s. I remember, yeah.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was, because I remember he was popular and he had won the Intercontinental Championship before. I remember him and the guy with all the tattoos that you were saying. Those were like other guys back then who won the Intercontinental Championship. But I'm just saying, like, you see the like how much of a gap though. It's like, well, now we're in the 2020s. And once again, an Asian guy is or had the title, but he's not champion anymore.
I get your point. They're far and few between them. The only thing that seems to remain the same with most of their gimmicks is typically the minorities specifically have their minority gimmicks. That's all I say there. They just, if you're Spanish, well, you must be like Eddie Guerrero. You must love the ladies, and you're always so cool. And
yeah, they're doing that with what's his name? The other guys, the fucking
Alberto Rio, right?
No, not Alberto Del Rio. Oh well, yeah. See, like, yeah, they kind of give you those sort. Yeah, you fall into these different, like, the same tropes or whatever.
Always a
But
minority.
the Usos right now are kind of, they're breaking those barriers down. You know, they're like, oh, y'all here to dance? And Roman's like, shut up and get out of my way. You're like, oh, they're doing new stuff.
Well, that's only because they've already put in their work of being the gimmicks. When they first came there, they were the twin gimmicks with the makeup on in the bright colors. Look
yeah,
at me.
see that. That's a, like, nah, that, like, try to make them do that now. Nah, they ain't doing that bullshit.
Because
them
what
days
happens
is over.
Once you start putting asses in seats, when they start looking out in the audience, they start seeing T-shirts that say "We the Ones," then you can start writing your own ticket. You know, that's how it goes in the business. Like, you can start writing your own ticket when that happens. One quick thing before we move on to our next segment, I do want to bring in some another segment of our show called Mail Call. If you guys aren't familiar with that, that's when, if for the video viewers, you get a chance to see some of the cool figs that we're adding to our collection, whether it be Funko Pops, video games, like that. We got Mail Call. So one of the mail calls I got was this guy here. I'm going to bring him up in the camera slowly. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Some good detail on there, too.
So this is one of the 3 3/4 ones. So as you can see from my finger, it's really not that big. It's not like a big 6-inch. It's like that. So the 3 3/4 Venom Spider-Man, this one retails right now at about $30 online. You know, you can get it some places for a little bit cheaper, but I love the Todd McFarlane artwork that's on here, as well as I'm personally not a big fan of the small figures like this, because when it comes to the action figures specifically of this size, they have been doing a great job over the years of making the detail on these way better than they were in the past. There are some companies that have done it better, like the Marvel Universe line of toys have done it a lot better with giving you detail in this small size. The Hasbro Kenner versions of these are kind of basic, where literally all you get is a moving head, 2 moving arms, 2 moving legs, and that's it. You don't get no bending joints, nothing like that. But again, it comes down to just preference. Like, obviously, Venom is one of the top Marvel characters, like, ever, especially from a villain.
Yeah, I was about to say ever.
But he's also a very highly sought after, not only this, it's a highly sought after figure that I'm happy to bring to my collection. This is one of the very few toys that I will not open as well. I'm a big fan of just popping my shit open. Like, hey, I got this figure sitting over here. It's a random figure just sitting here. Like, it's open. I got my fingers on it. I'm touching it. I'm not one of those people who, keep it in the package, or you Funko collectors.
You mean like me, who just keeps it all in the
I bring the box I got there. God, like, I just take it out of the goddamn thing and display it. But to each their own out there. But that's
how many mail calls? I think the only one I have, not really a mail call because I just got this, but I got this cool Poison Ivy.
Now, I was wondering about that. Is that something that it says it's Walmart exclusive? Is that right?
Yeah, it says Earth Day 2022 Walmart exclusive. The cool thing I think about it too is the fact that it's Earth Day. They decided to do Poison Ivy with Earth Day. That's pretty cool. And she looks a lot like she almost looks like the one from the Harley Quinn TV show with which is also cool. And yeah, this box, and it even tells you that the paper that they made this with was 70% recyclable.
Which is fair, but at the same time, I mean, they've done Earth Day specials before, so that's not a new. They've
done it with Wally, I believe, with Wally from
I had a box lunch exclusive that was like all on Earth Day.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's a cool one. I kind of feel like it's for the displaying part of it. It's really nice. It comes with that really big thing. But how much are those in the big size like that? Like $20?
These are $19.99.
Yeah, I was about to say like so. Basically, all you're doing is giving me a hard stack case and
Give me a hard stack case with like a cool comic cover of the first issue. And this is from the DC Universe Rebirth. And then this is also something too. You know, you could take a paint marker and probably get the artist who did this, probably get them to sign this bad boy, or put a nice quote or something. I think that's the point of some of these too. I think that like people, it is now widely known that people,
Can you open the hard stack, that particular one?
Yeah, if you want to, yeah, you can open this. You can open this thing up.
Plastic.
Look, I'm like, as I'm displaying, it's very easy to open. But yeah, you can open it and take it out. You can even take it out of the plastic if you want. Of course, I'm not, because I don't.
Yeah, you're one of those people. I get you. It's okay.
But yeah, it's cool. I like that they give you all this room for it too, because yeah, you can get you could probably, like, if you wanted to get the artist and writer who to sign it, you could even have them write a quote or something on here or something. Like, that's pretty cool.
Writing on the plastic hard stack, or are they writing on, if they wanted to, they could write on that comic in that comic page?
Yeah, if you wanted to, yeah, you can open it and take it out.
You can physically,
because these things do actually open.
Oh, the heart. I thought it was like a closed-in hard stack. It's a regular hard stack from Funko that you can open up. And so if I wanted to put Harley Quinn inside of there, I mean, I could do that because it's got enough space. Or can you actually open it? Or are you not sure?
Actually, I'm not sure.
Jackass.
It looks like the top of it looks like it could open though.
No, I'm not saying you got to open it. If you had one whenever you get
not me, but no, I'm saying like when you look at the top of it, the top looks like if you open this packaging that the top could come off.
That's good. That's good. All right. Well, that's let me see. I got one more thing for the mail call. So let me go ahead and grab this one here. Oh man, what is this one here? Is this something really, really special here? I'm gonna slide that in there. Ooh, shit.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Damn, is that
Marvel Studios Thor Love and Thunder?
Damn, is that Love and Thunder? Guys, right now you're getting a special exclusive right now, because unless you're Googling this already, you are getting a chance to see what Thor looks like in the new movie. Let me take a little picture of that. Look at that. Screenshot that mofo right there. That's what he looks like in the new movie with them guys, and I'll give you a little close up on that there. Ooh, look at that.
I'm also like, I guess that makes sense that some of the Guardians are still there, being they were all together at the end of what do you call it? Avengers Endgame.
Ravager, Thor. You got King Valkyrie. King Valkyrie. That's interesting. That guy there, that's Gore, which is being played by Christian Bale. Got Jane Foster being played by Natalie Portman, and then King Thor. You got Thor here. So yeah, that's another little special little thing I got there for the new Love and Thunder. Available in stores nowhere.
Not yet.
That's a little exclusive right there. You know, when you see, let me tell you something, brother. When you got the Ronnie and Markell show here, and you get to the level of awesomeness that we have, you can,
all right, you talking too much shit.
You can get special things. You guys
look, bring it back down. Don't let your head swell up. Bring it back down.
Let me tell you something, brother. Let me Hulk Hogan. I'm coming for you, nigga. I mean. So with that said, moving on to our Marvel segment of the night, and our last segment of the night here, which is we're just doing a nice little review of the latest and greatest from Marvel TV, Disney Plus series Moon Knight, starring Oscar Isaac and other characters, Ethan Hawke
and other characters. And we're at the halfway point now. We're on episode 3, so we got 3 episodes left, and they managed to cover a lot of ground in just 3 episodes, which is really impressive. And I remember you were saying before about I think Tom Hiddleston like possibly being nominated for an Emmy or whatever, like for his role. I'm like, if this man doesn't get a nomination for like his work as Moon Knight, because like when you think like I stop and I watch this episode, I'm like you know when he switches between Mark and Steven and he's doing and I'm like, yo, tell me Oscar Isaac hasn't been knocking it out of the park with like being these two different characters.
Absolutely. And he did a third one in this episode, which is that scene where he's standing with the gods and Khonshu is literally talking through him.
That's that was insane too. And then I was a little confused by the one part where there was one scene where they're trying to get information out of the people, and then he kind of like blacks out, and then the guys are dead, and he's like, I didn't kill him. He's like, dude, if you didn't and I didn't, who is it? So they're letting us know that there's a third identity.
I'm gonna tell you, here's my thought, right? In this situation, I think I said this on the last episode, but there's some proof of it in this episode that there's a good chance, very similar in the comic, and I'm about to mention something that's kind of a spoiler for you guys out there, so I'll give you a countdown.
Wait, before you do that, let me just give everybody a quick, if you've been keeping up with the show so far, well, this episode sees Mark, Spectre, and Steven go to Cairo, and they're trying to beat Harrow to tomb because Harrow is trying to get released that go to what do you call it? Amit's tomb. He's trying to get to Amit's tomb so he can release this god or do whatever the fuck he's trying to do. So they're trying to get there to stop him from doing what he's supposed to do. Okay, now you can go ahead.
I'll give it a quick synopsis of that. It's a race against time. And Steven goes on to try and stop the evil Arthur Harrow from releasing the god Emmett, who can judge the world and destroy humanity. Who will make it there first? Find out next week on the Moon Knight.
Yeah, and then Mark, and then we know from the last episode that Mark Spector has taken over the body from Steven, and he thinks he can do everything himself. But this episode proves that he needs his wife Layla and Steven more than he thinks in this episode.
Well, yeah, you realize the fact that it's funny. I'm looking at this and I go, what this show what Moon Knight is. A very old. There's a very. I'd say it's probably about 10 years old now. There was a comic book, I believe, from Image Comics, which was called The Five Ghosts of Fabian Gray. Do you remember that book?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yes, and that's where you have all of these ghosts inhabiting this one man who all have these very special abilities that give him the ability to be a dope hero because they can all offer him all of their powers to him. For you anime fans out there watching My Hero Academia, the main character Deku is also have that same situation where he has 7 different heroes inside of him that are giving him basically all of the best of the Avengers and fucking DC comics heroes all in one body, which is why he's going to become the world's greatest hero in his world. But in this one, I see where Mark and when Mark and Steven get on point together, it's going to be amazing. We're going to see a real Marvel hero origin come to life when these two start working together. Now, going back to my point before where I was saying that this is a little bit of a spoiler. In one of the recent books of Moon Knight, we discovered that the big bad of this show, and I'll do a countdown to 3, 2, 1. The big bad of the show is actually Khonshu. Khonshu is he specifically chose Mark Spector because Mark Spector has DID. And he realized that a person with a mental disorder like this would be a perfect vessel to basically do his bidding because he can't tell whether or not Khonshu's in control or he's not in control. So The third person, there's 2 theories I have on the third person. One, the third person is either the third persona of Moon Knight, which is a cab driver named Jacob. That could be him. But the second one that seems like they've given you proof in the show that it could be and seems more of a big reveal towards the end of the show is the fact that this is actually Khonshu who is actually taking over his body without Mark or Steven knowing. Here's where
that's what I was thinking. If you go back to the first episode when he blanked out and then and there was blood everywhere, I was like, that could have been Khonshu also in the first one.
Correct, but here's where the proof in the pudding comes into play, and this could be nothing, but this could be a red herring. The very simple proof in the pudding was, if you remember, I'll take you through it, Ronnie. If you remember the scene where he's going to the gods and Khonshu needs to talk to the gods in order to like tell them what Arthur Harrow is trying to do. If you notice, what do you notice that was similar of Mark's blackouts and the avatars that were there? When the gods took over these humans' bodies, what did they all do?
When the gods took, they were talking.
No. If you go back to the scene and you watch all of them get their body taken over by these different gods, they all did the Undertaker eye roll.
They did that.
They keep showing me that with Mark, but is that what's happening? And if you go back to those scenes, because I did this, because I'm like, this is an interesting little theory. If you go back to those scenes, every single time he has one of those moments, Khonshu is kind of pissed off and yelling at Mark, like, get the worm in check.
Yeah,
like,
he's like, just do it, and then he'll have the blackouts.
So it's basically like a parent watching two kids fight over the same thing, and then you go over there and say, you know what? Neither one of you niggas need ice cream. Neither one of you getting this. I'm taking this. So he could potentially have the right intentions in terms of a strong sense of justice, but because he's a god, he feels like what he's doing, this is the strong sense of justice. I'm going to use this blunt sword or this blunt object, which is Moon Knight, to basically be the sense of justice, and I'm going to put over humanity, because humanity needs a stiff punch in the face when it comes to bad guys doing bad stuff. And I'm going to be the judge, jury, and executioner, and this guy right here in this white suit is going to be my executioner. So in there's a I feel like just like watching WrestleMania 38 and knowing that Roman Reigns had a 98% chance of winning, I feel like there's a 98% chance that in this particular series that Khonshu is going to turn out to be the bad guy. Now, again, good storytelling makes it so that this may not.
You think one thing's going on, but it could be something completely different. Also, one thing I feel like the only predictable thing, well, maybe I won't even say it's predictable. I'll add on to that. The one out of all those gods that showed up when they was trying to tell them what Arthur's doing and they didn't believe him. The one lady who did believe Moon Knight, the one character who kind of did believe him and gave him advice where he could go and find what he was looking for. I was thinking like, one, either she's gonna die, because I feel like any character like that who like, you know what, I do have faith in this good guy and I'm gonna guide them. I feel like at some point she's either gonna get killed because she was the one that helped, or two, it could be another twist and she could be a bad guy with a different agenda.
Well, I mean, that's possible. Personally, I feel like in that particular situation, it was clearly shown the reason that she helped Mark in that situation is because Khonshu and her, or the god that's inhabiting this lady, and Khonshu clearly had a relationship. I can tell you one of the main things why that I thought this was also interesting was the fact that when they went there, you pay attention to the dialogue when Mark was talking to the avatar of this female god, that she was the god of like melody and stuff, and she said at one point Khonshu actually was quite fond of this person's melody, like basically in a way saying like, well, there was one point in time where Khonshu didn't hate her, he actually was fond of her. Here's another moment too where you feel like you're still at some point, episode 4 or 5 is going to need to give me the backstory of these gods, because it feels to me like I need to be in some way sympathetic of Khonshu I feel like if they tell the story the way I would do it, I would make you as an audience sympathetic of Khonshu, and then pull the rug out from under you when you find out he's actually the bad guy. Like,
oh yeah. Also, I kind of want to know what happened between them, or why he did they. I don't think they explained that, why like Arthur used to be with him, but they're not anymore.
Correct. They did. That's what I said. Everybody's got to get their backstory in shape before the main event. So basically, we're at the halfway mark. The halfway mark left Mark and Steven literally without any kind of powers, and those powers are essentially what brought him back to life. So we don't know what the fate of Mark and Steven are at the moment. We also see the fate of Khonshu basically now risking it all in order for Mark to go and now go on a journey to find Khonshu and, free him from the god's imprisonment, which, again, is one of those things where that's a journey for the hero. Now the journey for the hero, just like most Marvel heroes, they have to go on the journey of, I am more than just this suit, which is in the same episode. If you pay attention to the dialogue, Khonshu was talking shit to Mark, like, you could go about this without my protective suit. And it's like foreshadowing. Yeah. He literally
because if you think about it, because Steven knows a lot about Egypt and the gods, so they're still not like totally helpless.
So you basically have this Egyptian nerd who's really smart and like empathetic.
And then you got him, and you got Mark, who's got the training and stuff to go forth. So yeah, they could still use that power, but yeah, they can maneuver and still and they have Layla, so they still have some resources.
So now you've basically, so this is what we call in storytelling, ladies and gentlemen. If you read this great book called Save the Cat, one of the best screenwriting or storytelling books out there, Save the Cat, this is what we call a false victory, false defeat. And what that basically means is, or it can also be called the all is lost. Basically, at this point in time, the villains are at a moment of triumph. Harrow has fooled the gods, and also is in possession of the scarab that he needs to free his master, which is Amit. So now the villain is at its highest point right now and ready to go and fulfill his or her destiny. And the hero is at their lowest point. But what they don't realize in disguise is that the reason that's called a false victory or false defeat is simply because it gives the hero this unexpected, twist or moment of clarity to realize that the real hero here, the real reason that Mark is the hero and that Steven, those two working together and being in the same body is the perfect balanced breakfast of a hero, is the fact that they don't need Khonshu's suit to be Moon Knight. They will get those powers again, and it's going to make them an even better, hero. But ultimately, just like all the journeys that every single one of Marvel's heroes, earlier today, while I was relaxing today for this wonderful Easter, I rewatched Black Panther, and I gotta say, I have Black Panther as one of my top 5 Marvel hero movies of all time. And the reason for it is that, again, they take this character through this journey of, when you meet T'Challa at the beginning of this movie, he is coming from when he was kicking ass in Civil War, and now he's stepping into the role, unsure about being the king. Then he beats M'Baku, and he's pretty confident that he can be king. And then he makes the same mistake his father does when it comes to dealing with, his family drama. He doesn't deal with it that way. There's the false victory, false defeat, where he literally gets his ass whooped and gets thrown off of a waterfall.
Almost gets murdered, basically.
And based on the subplot characters, the B-level characters, which in this particular show would be Layla, these B-level characters are the ones that, and also don't forget, he has another ally, which they haven't introduced yet in the show, who, of course, we're going to see something from him very soon. The dude that's the golden statue, that's a person. You know that, right? That's a person.
What golden statue?
The guy Steven goes and talk to, that's sitting there doing the mind thing. person.
I kept thinking that person's either going to be an after credit scene or something with that person.
Yeah, he's a person. Like, he's going to talk to them at some point. He's an informant for Moon Knight in the comics. I forgot that guy's name, but that actor looks just like the comic book character.
And then the other actor is like, rest in peace. I thought it was awesome that they dedicated that episode to the guy from Hannibal Rising.
Yeah, he was supposed to be another villain later on called Midnight Man, and I'm like, oh, that sucks. Like, Midnight Man is a very
I'm like, oh wow, like I forgot. I had when I saw him in the episode, I had totally forgot that he passed away because I think he died in like a what do you call it, a skiing accident or something.
Wow,
like that.
I forgot what it was. You can look it up, but in essence, Moon Knight is going through, and even in a 6-episode series, he is going through a journey that I'm glad that I'm getting 6 episodes of, because I'll be honest, a lot of this Egyptian god stuff is a bit complicated. So need more time to explain all of this stuff. Like, understanding.
Oh yeah, it was a skiing accident. He got injured. He got injured during a skiing accident in France.
That sucks, man. God rest his soul, and they gave him his respects in this particular show. But again, I see the journey that they're putting him on. So, like, it took Iron Man, it took Tony Stark's, it took Thor, and it took Captain America about 3 movies to reach the journey that they're doing with Mark and Steven in about 6 episodes, which is taking them to a place where you have a hero where they think they know where they are. They think they got this, but really they have no idea what the hell they're dealing with. They're in a world above their head. And eventually, once they get their focus, they're going to become the great hero.
And then I'm still wondering if Khonshu's going to actually take over Layla and make her Moon Knight. That's also another thought, like, because you never know where this stuff is going with the MCU sometime. Like, is she going to become a Moon Knight character too? Or I don't know.
To be honest, so here's the simple, easy, wrap it up because it's Disney type of thing. The easy sort of lazy plot that you can do here, which is like, I'm fine with it as well, which is, okay, Khonshu is the guy that you think he is, and the god that you think he is. He's not a bad guy. He did do something bad, which is he basically threatened a guy that he needed in order to use him. He's threatening the love of his life, which is a horrible thing, but at the same time, he's doing what the fuck he got to do to, like, get the job done. And it turns out that he's more of a sympathetic, so it's more of like a sympathetic villain in a way, but at the same time, he's, willing to, at one point in time in the comics, he gets stuck in the statue, and basically Moon Knight still has found a way to hold on to the powers and not have Khonshu have the same connection with him. So eventually Mark Spector and Steven and everybody gets to a point where he can just call upon the Moon Knight powers without Khonshu being around. Like, Khonshu
could be another thing they do. Never know.
I mean, they can make that happen really fast, but at the same time, the one thing that they also have to do in this series is, at some point, I know that they're doing a great job of telling a solo story that does not need. That's one of the reasons why I'm bringing up Black Panther. One of the reasons why I love the Black Panther movie, just like I like Moon Knight, is because you are telling a story within a world in which I am not thinking about Iron Man, whoever. I'm not thinking about any character from the MCU while I'm watching this story.
Oh yeah, they do. Well, yeah, we know they do that very well. They always do that very well.
But that's, I mean, again, we didn't talk about it.
Even if you go back to the other shows like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, I feel like, they did a good job with those shows too, showing you, this character, Luke Cage don't need Jessica Jones, or this person don't need this person. Like, they did a good. I think they always do well with that.
The great thing is basically separating the hero from their power, or whatever the great thing is, and showing that the actual person, like, I'll ask you right here now, what is your favorite Iron Man movie?
Actually, it's the third one.
I was about to say that. And why is it the third one?
Because it's that same formula. It's showing that, he's much more than just that suit.
What's your favorite? Think about it. What's your favorite Thor? It could be 1, 2, or 3.
Well, actually, for Thor, I'd say it's probably the first and the third one, not the second one. Second one was there.
The
And then
second one,
same thing with Captain America. The sequel, I think the same thing. We get fixated and he's just a shield. Without that shield, he's nothing. And they even literally have that scene where he's fighting that UFC dude to show you, like, yeah, he ain't just this. He's a lot more than just a shield. You don't want that smoke with Cap, even if he ain't got that shield.
And that's exactly what you found out at the end of Black Panther. In one
And
movie,
I mean, my man took a punch. If anybody doubts Captain America, just remember that he took a punch from Thanos and lived to talk about it.
Yep. He took it straight to the face, got knocked out, but he woke up and he wasn't even injured. Like, that's that super soldier serum for you. But this show is doing a good job to me at building up this character who they did it a nice way where they gave you Steven. Steven is much more of a empathetic character to the audience than Mark is. If this show is just about Mark, I didn't think it would have the same sort of, like, because you could, like, as a real person, most of us can relate more to a guy who works at a job with shitty bosses and coworkers who forget your name and all shits like that than you can deal with some, adventurer, mercenary who's going on adventure and things like that. Now, I will say that there's easily a slippery slope of movies in this day and age trying so hard to be so fucking relatable that they forget the fact that we're watching fantasy. I'm talking to you, DC. You gotta make sure.
I thought you were gonna say Vin Diesel.
Well, no. Vin Diesel actually, surprisingly, the Fast and the Furious movies actually do.
Oh, wait, hold that thought. I gotta use the little boy's room.
Go for it. I'll hold the show down. I think the thing that makes the Fast and the Furious movies good at this point is that I don't take them seriously, right? I don't take the Fast and the Furious movies to be nothing more than just good old-fashioned spectacle, because the storyline is meh. Like, at this point, they're trying to drive into space with a rocket and a Pinto, and I'm back. So, first and foremost, Ronnie didn't wash his hands. He's a fucking disgusting guy.
I'm back.
He didn't hands at all. You nasty.
I'm back.
You need to go wash your hands.
I'm back to touch all over the audience.
Ugh, Jesus Christ. But yeah, Fast and the Furious is to me good for what it is. It's literally a popcorn movie designed for nothing more than just spectacle. You do not go to Fast and the Furious at this point for the deep storytelling that makes sense. You damn sure don't.
No, you don't. But I feel like if you go back to the beginning of those films, they were trying to do that a little bit. They just kind of lost direction with that.
That, I will say, God rest his soul, the storytelling aspect of Fast and the Furious died when Paul Walker died. God rest his soul. When that there's no more story at that point. There's no greater story than one of your guys riding off into the sunset. You guys are rich. That's why right now every other movie after that movie don't make sense. You guys became richer than your wildest dreams. You all were able to go upon your life and not have to deal with anything else, and you could take care of your families and just live a life. At the end of the day, that's a perfect ending for these particular kind of characters. Let them ride off in there. You didn't need The Rock. You didn't need Jason Statham. You didn't need what's his name, Luke Evans. You didn't need all of these people.
I mean, the studio needed them when they saw the revenue amounts from the the box office, and they said, yeah, because I can imagine the screenwriter was like, all right, okay, and done. All right, guys, we wrapped this movie with 3, and then wait, 3, we're gonna make another one. Oh, we're gonna make another one, but I wrote the story for three movies, and they're like, write it again because we're making another one. Because like, wait, what?
When Universal looked at the bank amount and saw what got deposited, they were just like, okay, let's call Vin Diesel in. Is there a way that we can just keep telling this story? It's gotta be a balance. Either the over the topness of the movie is the 80 to 90% of the movie, and the story is gonna be 20.
And even that's a funny ass story, because you think about it, Vin Diesel did the first movie. Then he said, all right, yeah, that was dope. Hey man, that movie did pretty good. You want to come back for the sequel? Nah, I'm doing Pitch Black. I'm doing some other stuff. I'm pretty much done with this franchise. And they said, shit, damn, we really want to make another one. Who can we get to play opposite Paul Walker? I mean, we could put a spin on it, make it a black guy. Oh, that's a good idea. Who can we get? What about that singer dude who wants to be an actor? Tyrese? Yeah, perfect. Called Tyrese, pulled up some dump trucks to his house. Tyrese is in Fast Furious franchise.
I wonder if you know how do you know the story of how Vin Diesel wound up in Tokyo Drift? Because the next movie is Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because I'm like, I don't know how he wound up in that, but I the only thing I do know is I know that ever since the first one, they wanted Vin Diesel to come back, but he was either doing other projects, and I know in the beginning he wasn't that much interested in coming back. So I feel like, and they got some dump trucks full of money or something to make this guy come back.
So I'll tell you that not only did they do the money, but here you guys can Google this, but I'll give you the little synopsis of it right now. The deal was Vin Diesel got smart and said, I want to do these little movies called Chronicles of Riddick. So if you do my movies Chronicles of Riddick, I'll appear in your movie. So they literally greenlit the Chronicle of Riddick movie based on the fact that all he had to do is do a cameo for Tokyo Drift.
So he pulled Christopher Nolan. He pulled
give me this. Yeah. Give me that.
Yeah, I wanna do Interstellar and some other ideas I have. Inception. And they're like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, you do the Batman franchise for us? Yeah, if I could do that stuff. Like, okay.
Pretty much, yeah. He's like, if I can, that's where you sit down at the negotiating table and says, you see this script right here? I need this movie to be made. And it's like, well, we haven't even read the script. You want Batman or don't you? And it's like, all right, we'll take whatever the fuck the script is. It'll be good. So at that point, and then he did the same thing with what's his face? The third movie, The Dark Knight Rises. They like, hey, we got made a lot of money off that Dark Knight with the Heath Ledger. That was amazing. That's cool. You got another one? And it's like, I mean, I guess I could do something else. But I'm actually into war movies right now. So, I'm thinking about doing this other one. They're like, really? Do you think you have time for Dark Knight? It's like, I could, but if I do this third Dark Knight, I might need to make Dunkirk. If you
yeah, because if you remember, and this is why I always say to this day that maybe they might not have been on the same level, but I swear, man, if you had a time machine, because I know DC wanted Christopher Nolan to keep making those movies, but he was interested in bringing like some of his other projects to life. And I believe he wanted to do Tenet, and then he wanted to come back. I'll do Tenet, then I'll come back and we can continue. They didn't want to wait. You know how studios are. They don't want to wait. They want that shit when they want it. And that's how we wound up getting Ben Affleck and then Batman and Superman and all this other shit. If you try to connect that to the Christopher Nolan movies, it's like, you can't. Once you take toothpaste out of the tube, you can't put the shit back into the tube. So you just got a jumbled ass mess.
And they try. Here's what they tried. If you look at the credits, what they tried to do with Christopher Nolan is they tried to work with him, even though he was working on another movie. Because if you look at the credits of Man of Steel, he's the executive producer on that. So that basically they threw his name on it to go, did you like the Batman movies? Well, you'll like this Man of Steel.
Yeah. I feel like at that point he was doing other shit, but they kept calling him, you know what? We'll just give you a producer credit. You could just come, give a little insight. All right, I guess. I'm trying to do this shit over here, but because if you like his 3 Batman movies are very consistent and they're good as shit. If they would have let this man do it, just let some years pass and let this man do. I feel like those movies would have been dope if he would have continued to keep introducing Flash and other characters with the way that they were doing it. It would have been dope.
I disagree. I think personally, and it's just me. Personally, what I think they could have done with Christopher Nolan is that Christopher Nolan could have been the Russo brothers. And if you pay attention to the Russo brothers, how many of the name the movies that the Russo brothers did in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
What did they do? Infinity Wars and Endgame, right? And they did something else too, right?
Come on, their first movie.
I don't remember what their first one was. Was it? Oh, Winter Soldier.
And Civil War. 4 movies.
Yeah, see,
they did 4 movies that are basically they did 3 ensemble movies, which included they did 3 Avengers style movies, which is like Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. And then they did Winter Soldier, which was the beginning to let you know their stylistic choice of what they were doing. But here's the balancing act that they had to do, which was done beautifully. The reason why I don't think Christopher Nolan by himself could simply just build a DC universe was because in building something like Infinity War and Endgame, they didn't work by themselves. They had to work with other directors to figure out the tones of those movies, even though they're kind of in the same type of
I would say that, yeah, if they would have got some people to work with him and do that, because I don't care who you are, his movies are the most memorable Batman movies and have some of the dopest fucking moments from the Batman franchises.
From recent,
especially the fucking Bane and Batman fight.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was some fucking that cinema. That's what I'm that right there is what I mean. Like, I can't watch no shit like that and then go see Morbius. No, what the fuck am I? No, I can't. No, dog. So like that's when I watch that, I feel like, man, it woulda, coulda, shoulda. I wonder what Christopher Nolan, maybe added on what you said, with the right people backing him, if they continue his universe, what they could have expanded upon and gave us if they would have continued that dope ass shit. Because his movies gave us Ra's al Ghul, the fucking Heath Ledger, one of the best fucking Jokers, and Bane. Look at that. They gave Ra's al Ghul, Bane, Joker. All 3 movies, fucking awesome.
All big boys. I think what you have to realize when it comes to Marvel is the secret sauce to Marvel is not the fact that they've got the best actors. It's not the fact that they have, the fucking thousands of comic books that they can pull from. But the real Avengers behind the scenes are like Kathy Kennedy, Amy Pascal, fucking Kevin Feige, and their director team of people and writers.
Their director team. Also, like I always say, a lot of the people that they're getting to write and direct this stuff are nerds. Unlike you, and I'm not saying that somebody who's not a nerd couldn't do this stuff, because I'm pretty sure that there's people who are not. But you're not gonna tell me that if you got cool, the person who's sitting behind the thing or action and directing this movie is like, look at I use WandaVision as an example. When you were telling me that the fucking showrunner and person who was going action and doing WandaVision was one of the same people who was behind big ass shows like I Dream of Jeannie and shit like that, I'm like, oh, well, that's how this fucking chemistry works so well to bring this shit to life. It's like I have the vision. I know how to make this shit. Like, I know how to flesh this out, very well and make it. So if you tell, like me and you, like, right, like, I know Kevin Smith said he'd never direct a Marvel movie or whatever. And I feel like we know enough nerd shit like if somebody said, "Hey, Ronnie, you and your brother, you think you could write a Marvel movie, or do you think you could? Hey, we want you guys to write the next Scream movie. I think we could do it." Because I'm like, I feel like, and that's just not, and that's based off. We're so passionate about this stuff that I feel like we would know, okay, what to do, what not to do, what to do, and also what to do and what not to do, just from fucking decades of watching this shit.
Being a consumer is definitely a big advantage in a situation, but
like we know what works, we know what doesn't work.
More so what I was saying is that they've built a class of people that are essentially their own behind the scene Avengers. And that is the number one key thing that other companies are missing, and how they aren't able to basically capture lightning in a bottle or recreate the MCU. So many companies are trying to do it. DC continues to try and make fetch happen, and it's failing for them because they have not honed in a nice class of people that are helping them. Oh man, what do you know? Peacemaker and Suicide Squad turned out to be good. James Gunn comes from the class of Marvel, bitch. Like, don't act like we don't know who this guy is. We know the fact that this guy did Guardians of the Galaxy 1, 2, 3, and freaking Guardians of the Galaxy 1, 2, and 3. Like,
yeah,
he's already
but
done.
Also, like, but taking James Gunn another step, even before Marvel, it's like, well, it was a no-brainer that when I even heard he was on this project, it's probably gonna be good. Because it's like, if you know his track record with other shit he's done, it's like, well, it's not the first time he wrote and directed some shit. All his other stuff is pretty consistent. It's funny. And he's another Quentin Tarantino style kind of writer director who works with a lot of the same people, especially Michael Rooker. Like,
so do you remember so this is where I love how building these things out. We talked about this in a wrestling segment, and it still applies here to be true. When you are building something and you are trying to put together like a nice, well-oiled machine, you have a balanced team of people who you can constantly call upon for different projects. And you can take two people and put them together and do something great, something that neither one of them had done before, and challenge them and use their abilities together to make something really great. Oh man, this sounds familiar. Oh yeah, that's right. In writing fucking comics, you do the same thing. I have a team of writers, I have a team of artists, and we sit in this room and I go, okay, Ronnie and Jill, you guys, I'm putting you on Squirrel Girl because you have a very kooky little art style, Ronnie, and Jill, you know how to write, female stories, and go for it. Now, in building that type of team, that shit takes time. You got to find the right people. Like, if you look at the thing is too, is just like we were talking about with the wrestling, building stars, right? Building out stars, people who already have a resume, but not too big of a resume, just big enough. Ryan Coogler before Creed and before freaking before Black Panther did what? Fruitvale Station?
Fruitvale Station.
Like, that's what he did. Black Panther put him on the map that this guy is now on Bitterroot. And who knows what other black projects that this guy can write his own.
But if you think about it, even that makes sense, because Fruitvale Station, he wanted to tell the story to show you how black men are fucking killed sometimes for no reason. He wanted to put a spotlight on some shit that, maybe you're not aware, but black men are getting killed for no reason. Even if you do some shit wrong, we're not being treated the way other people are being treated. If you think about Black Panther, it's like, well, how many times have you heard the black experience of a black superhero comic book character? I'll wait. Oh, you haven't? Let me show you.
Now, that right there, what you're saying is exactly where the nerd comes into play. So when I feel like you're looking for these, if you really did a profile, maybe one day we can do that for the show. If you really take a profile of, are these things luck, or is it just them taking people at that moment in time where they're ready for?
It's also doing, what do you call it? Culture appropriation, and doing things organically. Because if you think about even small little jokes of dialogue in the movie of people like Killmonger saying things like "Hey, Auntie," that's kind of stuff that happens more so in Black culture. People calling people aunties and stuff like that. Then like that.
What happens in Black culture? That's not kind of. I understand what you're saying is that you're trying to take somebody and tell an authentic story.
Like, yeah, who knows the Black experience better than a Black person? Like, like I can't, like me and you could sit down and write a story about living in China, but who could tell that story way fucking better? An Asian person who grew up in China. Like, what the fuck?
They bring people in and they give out their authentic story. And again, it relates back to what we were talking about wrestling earlier is their authenticity always wins. Authenticity will always get you over. The more authentic you are, the closer your character is to who you are, that essentially can get you over better with the audience, whether the audience is for wrestling or the audience is for comics and TV and movies. It can get you over. Does anybody feel
and I'm gonna add my other show in there? Sorry to cut you. I'm gonna add my other show in there just because, like, I'm agreeing with what you're saying. The Big Bang Theory, literally, The Big Bang Theory is written by a bunch, Chuck Lorre and a bunch of writers who love this show. But 99% of the dialogue that Sheldon, Leonard, and all these other people are saying are actual real dialogue that they took from neurobiologists and other people. And one of the characters on the show, and they got so embedded with that one of the characters on the show, Sheldon's girlfriend, played by Mayim Bialik, she actually is a neurobiologist. Like, she literally she has a PhD and went to school for that in real life. So she's playing what she really is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so...
You can go that authentic if you want to, which is fine. That just makes it a better story. I'm just saying, more so the mixture of what you're saying, well, what I'm saying is you're taking a person who is not only really good fit for this role, but once Kevin Feige sat down, if anybody has not heard Ryan Coogler in an interview, do yourself a favor, just sit down and listen to this guy. And when you listen to him, you realize, the one thing that comes to mind for me as a Black person, and I can say this, this nigga's a nerd. Like, you hear it, you go, this thing's a nerd he's a nerd for his craft. And that's what you're finding when you see these different people, when you hear from these different people. Why do you think after all the people that they had for Captain Marvel, that they chose this person who did Captain Marvel in the comics to come and help write on the actual live action movie? Because when they had a conversation with, it's almost like when you go to a job interview. You ever been in a job interview and you realize that you're saying something, or you've been on the other side of if you've had the privilege of being on the other side of the job interview, and you're sitting there, you're talking to a candidate, and you hear the stuff they're saying, and you're nodding your head like, I'm gonna hire this motherfucker. Yeah, I'm gonna hire him. Yeah, he's getting hired.
Or this guy is good.
And you're listening, and you're hearing yourself say this stuff, whether it's true or not, and you're saying it to the person. You can see the look in the person's face of how excited they are about what you're saying. They're like eating that shit up. Like, I gotta, if I could hire you right now, I wouldn't let you leave right now without going to HR and signing up right now. But I have to be calm, cool, and collective. Okay, well, Ronnie, I hope to, get a chance to meet up with you again. And, and then you leave out, they get on the phone. Holy shit, guys, we got him. Like, that's that's essentially what, I know we were talking about Moon Knight, but this kind of goes with another piece of news that we kind of talked about outside of here, but bringing it onto the show. The new owners, Disney, not Disney, Discovery, AT&T, whatever the fuck they want to call themselves now, of Warner Brothers, DC, and everything. They're looking to potentially do another soft reboot of the DC characters for live action.
which I hope they just decide not to.
I'm gonna say that I disagree. I think personally, for me as a comic fan, I personally feel like with them saying that they're going to do this, they are already put themselves, whoever decided to make all these other projects that they're doing, such as Peacemaker, Suicide Squad, the things that have actually been popular for them, and now going forward with Batgirl and Flash and Aquaman and all these other people, they're basically doing what you mentioned a little while ago, which you were hoping that they didn't do, but I said that would have been a nice backdoor way into getting me to the characters I already know, but also introducing me to the world, is basically focus on the characters that have no fucking, like, nothing is better than when you watch some shit and you have no real reference up. Like, I'm watching Moon Knight and I'm enjoying Moon Knight. You want to know why I'm enjoying Moon Knight? Because I didn't fucking really read Moon Knight comics.
Yeah, me either. So like, yeah, I am on the edge of my seat. Like, yeah, and then Jill's asking me like, "Oh, what's about this?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I know about as much as you." like,
you got a lot of people coming into it, and you're trying to figure. Now, the one thing that's in the back of all of our minds is, how does this connect to everything? That's the number one answer.
Oh yeah, I told Jill that. I said that's where they got us. They got us years ago. What are we on? I done lost count with how many years in we are, but that's where they got us, because yeah, once you've got until about especially once you get to episode 4, your brain is just like, how does this connect? Does anybody else show up? They gonna mention, and you can't wait to see if there's an after credit on that last episode.
I'm gonna tell you right away. There's already some connections that I can point out for you right now. One thing that I'm noticing that has been a strong connection throughout this whole thing, especially with episode 3. A couple of different things. One, if you look at, they've already shown you that the god that gave the Black Panthers their purple herb is one of the gods from the Inuit. I don't know how to pronounce it, but the Inuit, that particular group of folk, the gods that you saw there, one of those gods is Bass, the fucking panther god. So that tells me, I'm like, oh, wait a second. So basically instead of having like one avatar specifically, he decided to share his power with the entire Wakandan like society, and allows.
Also, you made me remember that I was like, so these more motherfuckers that just sat around and did nothing when Thanos can't. All right, okay. We will not interfere with like, all right, man. So you just gonna let humanity fuck? All right, y'all a bunch of fucking scumbags.
And looking at it from the Eternal standpoint, it kind of connects there too, because it's a matter of like, think about it this way. When they talked to Khonshu was already yelling at them like, you sons, basically in paraphrasing, you sons of bitches, you motherfuckers left humanity behind and left them to face off things like Thanos and evil and all kinds of shit like that. When you could step in and do something, you pieces of shit, you guys got no balls. Like, that's kind of how he's looking at them. And they're like, yeah, we're done with humanity. Humanity can do whatever the fuck they want. Now, there was another moment in time in Eternals, which that same thing occurred, which is Fastos, the guy who plays Paperboy in Atlanta. He also said the same thing when he created hydrogen and stuff like that for them, and they created bombs and had Hiroshima and killed each other. They're like, there's no, and he said it himself, there's no saving these motherfuckers. Like, there's, humanity is gonna just kill themselves. Like, I'm not gonna get involved in this. I can't do this.
Which is not entirely false.
Each their own. Some people say, hey, there's fate there, there's some bad things, but there's way more good things. I don't know, like that's how some people see it, and some people like, humanity can't be saved, they're gonna kill each other in like 100 years, so whatever. The other part of it that I saw that also was kind of like a pseudo connection to the Thor mythos is one of the things that you'll notice that gods love to do whenever somebody's not following their rules is casting people out or banishing people or locking people up. Like, think about the bad guy of Moon Knight. The bad guy of Moon Knight wanted to do something that the pretty much the good guys thought was really, really bad. So what did they do? They locked her ass up. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound like a one-eyed, gray-haired Anthony Hopkins nigga that cast out Thor in the first movie and put Thor in some like prison until he died? That's what these god characters do. That's what they do. They're like, okay, you're not gonna listen to me. Oh, you think? Oh, okay, I cast you out. Like
Yeah, pretty
Thor
much.
was.
And then that main guy, the main guy who wasn't listening to Khonshu, I'm like, was he? I'm like, I wonder who he is.
What are you talking about?
Like all the gods came together and they were like, they let Khonshu speak or whatever. But it was like it felt like that one particular guy was like the head of all the other gods.
Because it is. There's three main gods. There's his son standing next to him, and then the next to him is his wife. There's the father, and son, and daughter.
And then he was the one that started summoning the powers that put Khonshu into the statue.
Correct. When they did the count, so if you look at the count, it actually you can see where it's funny, where you can actually see how they kind of foreshadow things. If you go back to the first episode with Steven, when he's talking to his boss who doesn't give a shit about what he's saying, he looks at the poster and he's like, look at the Ennead, which is the group of folk that we saw. He says this poster is inaccurate because there's 9 gods and this one only has 7. Now, if you look at that, it makes sense because basically what the gods decided to do was, in terms of like the paperwork and stuff, they said middle finger to Khonshu and middle finger to Amit, because they said fuck Khonshu and fuck Amit because we've locked her up and we banished this dude. So you're not even going to be on the poster as being a fucking god. We're going to put 7 people on here, even though there was 9. If you also go back to the scene where they're in the room, there's 9 chairs in the room and 2 of them are empty. And I'm like, well, one is clearly Khonshu. The other one is clearly belongs to, it belongs to the other one, but they both aren't sitting on the council. Also, I thought it was funny too that only a certain number of people showed up, because they literally said the other folk was like, they don't have time to deal with this.
Yeah, like they just didn't show up at all.
We're not even gonna waste our time pulling an avatar to come deal with this bullshit.
But who knows too? Maybe that could be another connection later, that maybe they were off dealing with something else.
That's also possible too. But I just feel like, basically, like I said, somewhere within these next couple episodes that are coming up, which are coming up in about 3 days from this show, what we're going to need is an explanation, in my opinion, of what did humanity do so bad that made these gods say fuck us.
And then Harrow, Arthur Harrow and Khonshu, like, correct. How was he originally connected to him, and why, and how the fuck did he get separated too?
Well, yeah, that's the thing, because he wanted to be in the avatar of somebody else after Khonshu basically, abused this guy or whatever story.
Yeah, and how did he get the power that he has, where he's basically fucking Shang Tsung, taking people's souls, basically?
Well, that's Amit's power. That's Amit's judging power.
Oh, yeah. Because he has that staff, but he has that staff that has a little bit of the power.
Which is interesting because, like, again, you can tell it's like some type of god-like power, because it's got the same purple power that looks like it's from Wakanda or something.
I know some people were saying like, they didn't really like, stuff I read online, they didn't really like Ethan Hawke's character and they thought he was lame. But I don't think he's lame. I just feel like his character is a build-up to something. Like, I feel like that's why he's like kind of mysterious, low-level. Like, I feel like he's building up to something fucking terrible.
To me personally, I feel like he's definitely like one of those people that you can tell is literally gonna. Let me pour some water.
It looks like you're taking a leak. He's taking a leak, everybody.
There we go.
He's like, okay. I released the Kraken. No, let me stop.
It's hilarious. But to me, I obviously know that Harrow is physically more powerful than he's letting on to be, because he's one of those characters that, as like a, sort of villain trope, he's so calm, cool, and collective because of the fact that he's actually quite dangerous. Because
that's what I think. I think he's a lot more dangerous than we realize. Not to mention, and then they show you part of how dangerous he is, and the fact he knows a lot about everybody he comes in contact with. He'll, like, if he was a real person, he can't be like, Ronnie, It's okay. You can tell people about your bladder problem. I know that you go to the doctor 3 times a week with the pills you're not telling Jill about. They're like, oh, like how did he even know?
That's
Even
part
know?
of that's part of his power, but also he has the power of influence. So he kind of, in a weird way, he kind of has his own version of Kilgrave's power. That's why all those people follow him, because he has this this influence that all he has to do is like kind of talk to you, and he kind of can influence you to do whatever it is that he wants you to do. It's just funny that like it's already like if you look at the like when they showed the trailers leading up to this show, you kind of know that him and Moon Knight are gonna have a fight, because it's one of those things where like either A, Marvel is fooling you by throwing some fake scenes in there. We know Marvel does that shit. Or B, we're gonna see there's if you go back to the last trailer that they put out, the last full trailer, there's a moment where they show Harrow and Moon Knight running towards each other, and you can see the moon in the background, and it's shaped like Moon Knight, and they're literally running towards each other. And it's like, oh yeah, that's right. Once I found out that Harrow used to be basically Moon Knight for Khonshu, that automatically tells me he can fight. You're not gonna choose this guy if you're not gonna choose Stephen Grant as your fucking avatar. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
don't
forget about that other scene that I told you about that someone actually told me about that. If you go back and pause the scene where he's in the truck right before he blacks out, if you look at the boxes in the background, they say Von Doom. They say Von Doom on them, and I was like, "Wait, what?"
It don't
and
say
I'm
Von.
like,
It's Von.
well, they say Von and the letter D, and you can't see the rest of the words. But we know that in the MCU, that's just a wonderful teaser to that you don't know. Like I feel like if you ask somebody, is that Victor Von Doom? They might go, it might be, might not be.
I'm gonna tell you just like this. That's what we call a red herring from the visual effects team at fucking Marvel. Some guy is going to make a video about that box back there, and people are like, no, they won't. I bet you. Watch, go on YouTube and you can find.
Either that or you find, or they're literally just letting you know that he exists.
I mean, we already know the Fantastic Four exists. Like, we just haven't seen anything connected to Fantastic Four full on directly yet. Like, we haven't seen the Baxter building. All we know is that the Avengers Tower is being fixed for somebody. We just don't know who. It could be being fixed for the Fantastic Four. Could be being fixed.
I feel like just hold on, just put you're familiar with Depends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like just wear one when you go see Doctor Strange. I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm just saying, like, we know. Remember when I saw Spider-Man No Way Home like a day before you, and I was kind of like, nigga, they make their own money. Like they like I just have a feeling that when you watch that, it's gonna be like when we saw Endgame, and it was just like, wait, it was like stuff going on, like you just wait. So they just okay, so that's what y'all doing, okay. Like Kevin Hart, we like okay. Like I just feel like we're gonna get so much, especially in the fact that movie is literally gonna have characters going through multiverses. You cannot tell me that we're not gonna see some shit like, wait, was that Ghost Rider? Like, would you like? I don't even know. I mean, let alone, I feel like the movie is gonna have reveal like some awesome shit to make us go, oh, I don't even know what the after credit gonna be for Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. I don't even know if I'm ready. I'm like, am I ready? Hey, Sam Raimi, am I ready? Or should they just have ambulances on standby at the theater?
I think the interesting thing about like just going back to what we were talking about with just like the basic heroes, this is Doctor Strange. Besides it being the Multiverse of Madness, this is Doctor Strange's second movie. So on top of all the dope fan service and continuation of the storytelling, like every single one of these Marvel properties has to do like kind of feels like it has to do the heavy lifting of trying to connect to the rest of the worlds and can at the same time tell the character story and at the same time be as good as the last thing you saw at the same. It's like a whole list of things that every single property has to do. But the one thing that this movie has to do above anything else, the same thing that No Way Home did, is that it has to continue the Doctor Strange storyline. Doctor Strange,
sure.
up until this point, is that Doctor Strange basically was a douchebag who got into a car accident.
Here's a running at this point it's a running joke that we say every time we see a new one of these movies. I wonder if Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is gonna be good. Yeah. I'm really worried that it's gonna be good.
I am just curious to see what the next steps for him, like, because I feel like what could easily get lost, and that's why I feel like this is the last time I just recently purchased the Blu-ray, which is I bought the Blu-ray for No Way Home, and for me personally, one of the things that I loved about this movie was that it didn't totally forget that this movie at its core is basically about Spider-Man in the MCU, right? Like, that's what you have to continue to do, regardless of all the fan service that you want.
I say the first movie was Doctor Strange's training and him becoming like what he's supposed to be. I honestly say, like, every time I watch this trailer, I feel like, yeah, it's gonna go through some crazy ass shit, but this trailer is just gonna show Doctor Strange holding shit down.
It is, but he's also gonna go through some shit as well, as usual. Like,
that's what I mean. Like, he's gonna go through some stuff, but I feel like, yeah, that's what we're gonna see in this movie. We're gonna see Doctor Strange be Doctor Strange, because like if you think about the first one, we saw him, but he was still like kind of in training mode. I know we've seen him since. We've seen him in Endgame, but we haven't got to see an intimate, just our eyes just set on him and him doing his thing. Just him. I feel like that's what we're also gonna see too in this movie.
What I also expect to see in this movie, but it also could be in the third one. We don't know. It doesn't have to be like they waited till Iron Man to strip him of the suit and make him forced to use this as his power. For Doctor Strange, you also have to take into account that that's one of his strengths as well, is the fact that he is a really smart guy who's also very clever as well. So if you find a way to sort of strip away give him the Black Panther, juice to strip away his powers, that is another thing that you can do in a very creative way that allows you to see that the hero is more than their powers. Essentially, that's been the running origin of every single one.
Of every hero, basically.
They're more than just their powers. Like, they have to figure out how to, pass the unbelievable odds to be able to overcome whatever it is. Now, he's fighting some shit that's on a dimensional level. Like, he's fighting Shura Garoth. He's fighting against versions of himself. He's fighting against the evil of the Darkhold. He's got at least about.
We're possibly gonna see the Illuminati in this movie.
Well, we're gonna see the Illuminati in this movie. There's no doubt. We're gonna see the Illuminati. But I think what we're also we could potentially see in this movie, which has been teased in trailers, and also I feel like I tried to look for it, and all of a sudden I noticed the articles have kind of disappeared. I remember when the second movie was fucking announced, that when they announced the movie, they said that the villain is Nightmare. And I'm like, oh, cool, Nightmare. And then all of a sudden we're like, Multiverse of Madness. And I'm like, well, where the fuck is Nightmare? Like, I thought y'all said Nightmare was in this. And it's like,
I mean, I know this is just a rumor mill, but there's also a lot of rumors circulating that Tom Cruise is Iron Man in this movie.
Personally, that rumor is so whack to me that like I have no interest
until he sees it. He gonna be in the theater like, he gonna be like, he's so dumb. You're like, wait, the next time we do the show, you're gonna be like, my favorite part is when Tom's.
I'm sorry, but like, Tom Cruise is cool, and I love Tom Cruise as an actor, but like, the one thing I don't want to see done in a poor way, and Marvel has not done it yet. So I don't so much fear this. If this was Sony or Warner Brothers, I would say more than likely I'm afraid. But I don't want to just see niggas pop up for no fucking reason. Like, I need a reason for niggas to pop up. Like, don't just
hey. You know me. If we were talking about any other type of movies, I would agree with you. But since we talking about the MCU, I'm just gonna take a backseat and go, you know what? I'll see it when I see it because they just been doing dope shit. It's been a long time since I walked out of the theater to see an MCU specific Marvel Studios movie. And I was like, I didn't like it. With this part, with this thing, and they could have. It's been the track record for television and in the theater just been. It's almost like you walk out the theater and you look to your right and Kevin Feige like, what I tell you. Like if he was standing outside in the lobby, he'd be like, what I tell you. I do dope shit. Pull his hat down and just ride off into the sunset.
I hope that they continue this track record for sure. I know that they will. I don't know what to expect anymore with these guys. Like it's the same thing where when Cody
you know what the Marvel Studios are? They're Eminem. It's like every fucking time you think this guy made like, yo, yeah, you hear a new song and some new lyrics, yo, that shit was so dope. Ain't no fucking way he could top that. Then he come out with another song, and you just throw your hands in the air like, God damn it. Like, I just feel like this, and then we still, the other crazier part of like, we're super excited for this movie and don't know what to expect. We still don't even know where this shit is headed. Moon Knight, this, that. I feel like if Kevin Feige's in with the other execs, like, they don't, should we tell them? They don't even know. No, they don't even know where this is headed, bro. And look, and I mean, before you were saying like Secret Wars, this, I feel like if we could talk to Kevin Feige, he'd be like, man, you got to think bigger. He ain't doing no small shit like that. That's 5 years ago. They like on some other shit ain't nobody even thinking about.
They coming up with, when they came up, it's funny, when they came up with the title for fucking the last Avengers movie, which was Endgame, I don't give a fuck who you were. I didn't see too many websites or YouTube channels that were like, the next movie I think is going to be called Endgame because that's what Doctor Strange said in the movie. And I'm like, nah, B. I don't think anybody knew what the name of the next movie was. We all just thought it was going to be another Avengers.
Nah. Now I have to pick your brain just because you just watched Black Panther before we ride off into the sunset, which is the ending. I think I've told you this before, but like, I always wonder, is this what they meant by the ending? When we get to the end where Shuri and T'Challa are in the playground with the kids, and the black kid looks up at T'Challa and he's like, "Who are you?" And he just kind of smiles, and then they go to credits. From my perspective was always from that scene is that he said that the message they were sending is whoever you want to be, black man. Like I was at that, like I don't know, because I feel like we'd have to interview Ryan Coogler or the writers to find out. But that was my interpretation, was like that's why they kind of left it like that, where the kids ask him, "Who are you?" And he kind of just smirked, and then it was credits, because I felt like they were kind of, in my own opinion, I felt like they were trying to say, as a black person, whoever you want to be, as long as you put in the work, whoever you want to be.
I did not see that exact message. I think the simple superhero answer in that situation is you'll see. Like it is essentially, to me, a Christopher Reeve wink and smile. That's all it is.
Okay, so I could see that too. So yeah, you can take from it. I wonder if they left it like that on purpose, because you can take, whatever you come up, whatever you think, it's multiple. They just wrote it in that way because it's whatever you think. As an individual, whatever you think, that's what you think.
Here's what makes it a nice little like Christopher Reeve smile at it, is the fact that as the audience, the kids saw none of the shit that you just watched for the last 3 hours. They don't know about any of that. They just see a black dude standing here in a jacket. Like, imagine you were a superhero for the last 20 years, and then you met a kid who didn't know who you were, and they're like, wow, mister, like, what do you like, are you a really good superhero? And you just smile at the kid like, I'm okay. Like, that's everybody who knows.
Yeah, I can see it. Okay, I can see it as that too. Yeah, see?
Oh, you have no idea. This dude is badass. Like, he's really good. But the audience is aware of that. For you, it's just more like, oh, this. But I see the black part of it too, which is like that. That's why the Black Panther movie, by far to me is one of the best in my top 5 of solo hero movies. I would put Iron Man 3 in there. I would put
definitely Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier. Wait, Black Panther. Not in any order. Black Panther, Winter Soldier, Thor Ragnarok, and what do you call it? Another origin tale.
Shang-Chi.
Oh, Shang-Chi. Thank you, Shang-Chi. And I'm also trying to think of another one. I will go with I actually personally, I'm gonna put Cap on that list twice. I actually do like Captain America Part 1. Just from a standpoint of seeing where this kid goes to. And I swear to this day, I've said it on the show before, but I gotta fucking make the video and put it out there again. And I think we have it on our Instagram because I remember making the video. Maybe I didn't post it, but I gotta check. I swear to you, watching that movie again, I haven't seen anybody talk about the fact that Captain America and Black Panther did the same thing when a fucking grenade was in there. They both jumped on it, but nobody.
Oh yeah.
They never, obviously Black Panther had a suit on, which allowed him to take the blast. And Captain America, as just a human being, jumped on it with no armor on whatsoever. So that makes it a little bit different based on that dynamic. But the fact that both of them decided in a route
to put their life on the line for others.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like and it's not like it's a full-on comparison of those two, but it's showing those quiet heroes.
Yeah, it shows you the integrity of the person, because in the face of adversity like that, what would you do? Would anybody throw their life on it, or would you run in that other direction and let people get blown up?
Also think about that too. How many people, if that would have just went off in that small area, there would have been a lot of casualties, including Nakia and Michonne, I forget her name. Okoye.
Okoye.
Yeah, all of them, they would have been injured because that's a grenade going off, blowing up a building. So, him jumping on it was just perfect. Like, I watched that movie, and I feel like the reason why it later joined the list for me was the fact that I can see the building of this hero, and I could see that I'm gonna go ahead and say this right now. I personally feel like just as a black man myself, if they would have got a chance to make 3 movies, I personally think the Black Panther trilogy would have been the best trilogy in all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If they would have made 3 movies,
I would agree with that. Thinking about that ending again, I'm like, yeah. Also, I think another message it was sending to especially the Black community is helping one another. Because if you think about it, they came there and he was planning to put resources to help urban neighborhoods. And then you think about it, when that boy says, like, who are you? Again, if you think somebody who's going to help us because nobody else is coming. Because if you think about, when you think about urban neighborhoods, like, that's what I think that another show that we haven't talked about on the show, Abbott Elementary. I think, especially I think that show is even more like relatable and funny if you grew up in an urban environment, because although it's funny, they're telling stories that are very true. It's like, yeah, this black school, we don't have that many resources, or they're trying to think of ways to come up with the money because the school board's not going to give them the money. Because, yeah, if you take a school in Newark versus a school in, say, Westfield, who do you think gets way more financing for their school? I'm pretty sure it's not Newark.
I just feel like that. Yes, I know that there's a lot of tales in the hood, specifically or within urban areas, that are stories that are not really told as well. Which is why I feel like Marvel, going back to Marvel before we ride off to the sunset, is I feel like they're waiting. They're waiting. And what they're doing is that they're building it up just right. They're going to start off with Miss Marvel. And then from Miss Marvel, they're going to continue down that road of telling true, authentic tales of these particular people. And the one that's going to be the best one, Miles motherfucking Morales.
Okay, I know they're not gonna say it like that, but
Kevin Feige gonna be like, the next movie is Miles motherfucking Morales.
I'm sure if they have a table of things that are coming in the future, I'm sure it's already on there. The year it is, I don't know, but I'm sure it's on there. I say if we get more Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland, I say we get at least two more movies with Tom Holland before we get a Miles Morales movie. At least.
I'm gonna put it to you this way. This is how powerful. This is what happens when you go from, as Corey Graves has said, when you go from undesirable to undeniable. MCU is doing right now is that they don't have any masters that have to tell them what to do. They've become this pinnacle in the entertainment industry by having Disney as a backing, but also showing Disney that they are a viable asset in their portfolio of companies that they own. If they came to, let's say Kevin Feige had to sit down in a board meeting with the Disney execs and go, okay, so what are you going forward with? And they say, oh, we had one of our artists put together this rendering. And they showed you a picture of the new Avengers, like one of their properties that they already own in the comics. And they showed you the new Avengers, and you looked on there and said, okay, so here's what we got. In our new Avengers, we have Spider-Man, but it's the Black Spider-Man. We got Miss Marvel, but it's Kamala Khan. We got the Fantastic Four. We got this Indian kid over here, is Flash Thompson, Venom Knight, which we could take it so far as we can, instead of doing Agent Venom, I forgot that Flash Thompson also went to space and was Venom Knight, where he was with the Guardians of the Galaxy. And I was just like, nigga, that's some shit ain't nobody thinking about, but he could literally.
But it can happen.
It can happen. And it's like, I'm gonna give you this whole roster of people that don't look nothing like it. This roster of people looks like America. This is what America looks like. And this is all the people that are there. And then when they all take their mask off, you'll see like it's a nice little smorgasbord of people. And then Kevin Feige is, that's my people. And when they say, what can they say? They go, wait a second, you want to have a black guy as your main canon Spider-Man? And it's like, yeah. That's it. That they don't have to say anything else. What are you gonna do? I don't know if what you're making is viable. And Kevin gonna be like, nigga, hold me back. Hold me back. You know how many good movies you know how many good shit I done brought you? I done gave you I've given you it all. Everything that they've produced at this point has been valuable. Regardless of how audience has received it, Eternals made money. Dark World made money, and so did Iron Man 2. Those are the three ones that come up when you say top three ones that are questionable.
Yeah.
Dark World 2, which I also have to say one thing that's good about Dark World 2, because I rewatched it based on a conversation with Queen of the Universe of the show, Cindy. I rewatched the entire trilogy of Thor. And I have to say that rewatching Thor: The Dark World is not as horrible as it was when I first watched it. The thing that is very interesting in that movie that is important is the Loki and Thor's story. That's the most important thing in that entire movie.
Yeah.
You also have to go back and watch that movie because that movie is a prequel to the fucking Love and Thunder movie that's coming out. Watch that. I guarantee you, if you rewatch that movie, you got Disney Plus, anybody out there, go watch Thor: The Dark World. There's a moment in that trailer. I mean, not in the trailer. I'm sorry. There's a moment in that movie that lets you know that something bad is going to happen with Jane Foster when it comes to having this pretty much Infinity Stone with inside of her. Because when she had it inside of her and they brought her into Thor's world, and they got her on the table, and they look, and it's like, oh my god, the lady literally says, "I'm so sorry." Like, even if we extract this from her, like, her life's never going to be the same. Like, her body can't handle this. And then they also mentioned it several times where, you know what, one of the reasons why Hulk was the one who had to make the snap to bring everybody back is because there's a high level of gamma radiation inside of all of these stones. So if you literally had one inside of you, if anybody remembers for the comics books, one of the things that made Thor come back around, and the fact that something was going on with Jane Foster, she had cancer, and she was dying from cancer, and literally having the suit of armor was saving her life. Having the Mjolnir come to her and see her as a hero because she had, like, you know, she had experience with the stones or some magical item. So that allowed her to be a vessel that was worthy of taking on the Mjolnir and becoming the mighty Thor. So they already set the stage that if they show in the next movie with Love and Thunder that Jane Foster has cancer, just like Jane Foster had in there, it's because of the events of the Dark World. Having the gem inside of her has already started something inside of her.
I'm sure, and you know how they like to do stuff. I'm sure they'll go back and show you.
And they'll go back and show you. And then also one of the other things that you also look at in rewatching all three of the movies, you also realize that I believe that her cancer diagnosis is probably going to be one of the things that she didn't tell Thor of why they broke up. Because remember, when you see Thor again, he's like in Ragnarok, it's just like, oh, I heard that, sorry that Jane dumped you. And it's like, she didn't dump me. I dumped her. And it's like, he's real, like, you know, even in Infinity War, he's like, and in Endgame, he's like kind of talking about it, like, you know, he's like sad about her. But then you think to yourself, you go back to Thor: The Dark World, it's like, wow, she was like really in love with him. Why would she just randomly like decide
just
to
drop this guy
like that? So then you go, oh, wait a second. What if out of love, it was just like, I don't want you to sit here and like watch me die because, or, you know, feel like you are blaming yourself based on something that happened to me. You know, I got sick and I'm going to die. And I just want you to go off and, like, you know, be with somebody else, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to break it off before before anything goes bad here, before I basically, that's somebody like, let's say, God forbid, somebody, a loved one of yours got cancer, and before they get to their worst stages, they decide to push the family away. They're like, I don't want anybody to see me lose my hair and, you know, be all sick and be on, you know, cancer treatment and stuff like that. I'd rather be mean to you, be an asshole, or just leave you altogether and go off and die in a corner somewhere. And, you know, some people are like that. So that's my prediction for their breakup, is due to her diagnosis. And then this Mjolnir is going to save her and send her off on this journey, which, you know, turns out really well for her.
Well,
so
we shall see.
I'm excited. I can't wait to see more and more of this, because it's not about being just a comic fan of this stuff. It's the fact that it helps that we already have some knowledge on it as a comic fan. We have some general knowledge of what's going on, but just the story that they're telling in the theaters on screen, you know, whether it be in Disney Plus or on the theaters, is interesting enough for us to keep going. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of Moon Knight. Listen, I tell you, the two best days for TV for me is Friday mornings and Wednesday mornings, because Wednesday morning I get the Moon Knight. Friday mornings, because of Hulu, I get Atlanta. So those are my two mornings that I can go and know I can go right onto my apps and pull up something really good, because I'm going to enjoy it. Please.
That show, that one always leaves me like just lost for words. I'm just like,
new episode?
I haven't even watched the newest one yet. But I'm sure. Yeah. I remember when I first told you about that show, I was like, just watch it. Like,
all I'm gonna say, just watch this one. This one is back in the main storyline. It's not like a secondary story. It's like storyline of what's going on.
That last one though, that shit had me at work like, can I do that? Like, can I find like that shit? I mean, I guess that's what Donald Glover was thinking. He wanted to start conversations that maybe, yeah, like that guy's a genius anyway. He does a lot of stuff to make conversations start for maybe stuff you may not be aware of or thinking about.
Which is true. Like, yeah, having that thinking about it in that way, and it was so brilliant. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about season 3 of Atlanta.
Season 3.
Episode 4, where they discuss the ability legally for a Black person to sue a white person that is a descendant of somebody who who used to be a part of like if a white person that you didn't know had some type of lineage that connected back to your ancestors and them being their slave masters or in some kind of way, then you have the ability to sue them for reparations, basically. So
which I was like, wow, is that a real thing? Because that's fucking crazy.
That's not obviously not a real thing, but it is one of those things that is an interesting, like, so real conversation that they were having in that episode. And it's so real because telling that story from a white person's perspective is the perfect way to do an episode on that. That's how
and then the other part where they're in the car and the daughter's asking her dad, "Are we racist?" And he's like, "No, of course not." I'm like, that felt like that's like another powerful statement.
It's layered, and yes, that's layered because of the fact that you have kids who are coming up now, and it is really easy to try to, in essence, use whitewash history and trying to make it so that kids of that age aren't aware of what,
they're also showing you that even if you try to whitewash something, sometimes you can't get away from it, because remember, she was going to school and she's like, well, the other kids are saying, so it's like, yeah, you might try to run from it, but it may find you anyway.
It'll find you any way you try to run from it. And the thing is that you don't have to, like, I'm finding a theme that they've been showing since they've been in Europe is they're pointing out the fact that in Europe specifically, there's a lot of white guilt. Like, that's what it seems.
Yeah. Like the blackface. What the hell is going on?
Like that. Then you got the other dude, the socks guy, who is basically like, oh, he's very important to this next episode. You'll see. When this episode ends, you'll be sitting there like, socks. Okay, socks. That's all I'm gonna say. Socks. That's this episode, and it's crazy because every time I tell you about one of the episodes that you haven't seen yet, you just know it's like you gotta watch it. Like, I can't. There is no way to sit there and explain an episode of Atlanta. Like, you just have to watch it and see the shit that happens and just applaud at the end of it, because it's like the feeling of weirdness that I get out of this, where I can't watch an episode of Atlanta now with this season and not pause it and say, yo, what the fuck is going on right now?
Yeah, like, wait, what did I just watch?
Like,
what the fuck is going on?
Way, but more of a like, this guys make me feel like you figured out a way to make me uncomfortable. Like, I don't know. It's just crazy. But with that said, guys, if you don't know who we are already, I'm Markell, and there's Ronnie, and this is the Ronnie and Markell Make a Podcast show. Another Zoom edition of the show. We this time around, we got a chance to review episode 3 of Moon Knight. And we talked a little about wrestling with AEW and WWE.
And we talked about creating new superstars. I'm going to keep pointing that out to people out there that we need new superstars, man.
You know what?
The people we have are stars, but is there people that they can elevate to that next level of Undertaker, Triple H, Shawn Michaels type status?
Here is my 2 cents. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to make the title of this episode Creating Superstars, because without realizing it, coming to the end of the show here, we basically talked about creating superstars, but it works on both ends. We talked about comics and TV and the DC and Marvel thing, and then we talked about the AEW and WWE thing, which are very similar. Two companies, one very old, one very young. One seems to be knowing what the fuck they're doing, and the other one is still trying to fuck around and find out. Like, essentially what's happening with these guys. And it's interesting because they're both, like, one of them is actually creating superstars while the other one is trying to rely on past glory. In this case, DC is trying to milk every last dime they can get out of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, while Marvel is fucking doing the Lord's work, and they're about
it's still the Marvel train continues. Oh, hey, what's up? Yeah. Oh, is this still continuing from the first Iron Man? Oh yeah, that was almost 20 years ago. Yeah. They just keep on. You realize that, right? It's like, yeah, was that almost 20 years ago? Yeah. I think like this has to be a record like for like continuous shit. That's just, this is a continuous thing, my friend. Like, look, that's the new symbol for continuous. Like, but this shit is just, it's just, every time I see that logo, the Marvel Studios logo, and I'm like, yo, they just doing it. Like I said, like, yeah, they're gonna get so dope. Watch, next you're gonna see the Power Rangers show up. And like, fuck the Power Rangers doing in the Marvel Cinematic. Like, oh, we thought we'd cross shit over. Like, we just so dope. We just taking a break from last dope shit you saw. Now we crossing over shit. Like,
well, I mean, that's something that can come in the future. All they're trying to do is just continue to tell stories that give everybody who's in their audience an opportunity to feel like somebody on screen. And the first thing they did is set the tone and set the foundation with all of the people that we know from space, other dimensions, and Earth. And now we're digging deeper into those same worlds and pulling out more heroes, because basically what's happening now is, again, the same thing, going back to wrestling. These new heroes or new superstars are basically being inspired by the work of the people before them. Darby Allin is being inspired by Sting. Like all of Riddle is being inspired by Randy Orton. Like the it's going on
I'd even say Billy Gunn's sons are being inspired by their father.
They're, like, out of these great heroes and these great characters that have been created, should spawn a new age of heroes that should come from it. And these hero stories that are still alive should still continue on and meet new places. Like, I can't wait to see where Thor goes at this point, because Thor is going to be the first character out of the original cast of characters to have a fourth movie. He's the first one that have a fourth title movie. It's not called Thor 4, but it's a fourth movie. So what new, are we starting a new Thor trilogy, or are we just going to get the end of Thor's journey at this point and then the beginning of Jane Foster's journey? Like, are we about to get a trilogy with Jane Foster? I don't know.
Jane Foster or Valkyrie or whoever else.
Oh, no.
Or they could do spinoffs of this. I mean, they could also do spinoffs and show you other characters within the Thor mythology. It's all more shows in the future for Disney Plus.
That's what they made it for. There's no reason for them to not fill up this beautiful theater.
What's the other one that World of Wakanda? Like, we're gonna meet other characters and other things going on. Like,
yes, that's funny you said that. There is something that popped up in my head that I forgot was a thing, but they said it multiple times in the movie. Do you know what a war dog is in Wakanda? So a war dog, and it makes sense now, me watching this movie for like the 15th time in my life. A war dog is basically what Killmonger's dad was, which is basically Wakanda still doesn't trust the outside world. So there's spies all around the world that are basically Wakandan spies called war dogs. And they're to infiltrate places and look at what's going on with people and make sure like they can alert Wakanda if there's any threats of other countries. So basically, while they've been living in a bubble, they got people, spies out in the world, making sure that the world isn't preparing to come and attack Wakanda, basically. So they're out getting intel. Now, what Killmonger wanted to do was use that sleeper cell of spies to basically launch attacks on all of these countries where war dogs are. So I immediately was like, wait a second, that's a story within itself. So when he decided to go and do that, talking to Daniel Kaluuya's character, he was like, well, most of the people are on board, but there were some people who were not on board. And Killmonger said, that's all right. Once we start getting out there and start doing stuff, they'll jump on board. I'm like, well, clearly that's a story right there. So what is it?
But like? Yeah, I was gonna say that could be multiple stories right there, because who on the other end, even when he was launching the attack to send stuff, who knows that on the other end of that, somebody was waiting for Killmonger, but then he got killed. So what if we get to see some of those stories and those people?
I was just like, well, I was like watching this movie and thinking about the fact that they're continuing it. That was something that really stunned me. And I was like, what's his face? Killmonger's dad in Jobu basically was a war dog who was sent out into the world in the 90s and watched how like he was treated. Like you would think about it, he was treated like some regular black man, but he was actually a prince of a fucking kingdom. This nigga was literally what do you call it? Hakeem from fucking Coming to America.
Coming to America.
So he got so caught up in the 90s living of having to deal with like, you know, the police brutality and all the shit that black people were dealing with, that he basically winded up with the mindset that his son basically picked up later on, which was he saw all of these things that were going on, and he's telling his brother, like, listen, like, we need to arm these fucking black people because they're out here getting slaughtered for no fucking reason. We're black and we can't do that. We can't leave these guys here. And his brother T'Chaka's like, that's not our problem. Like,
yeah, that's not like a personal problem. We got to get back to the kingdom.
Problem, like, there are people, and it's like, no, they're not Wakandans. They're the same color as us. So they had that same fight, and then years later, Killmonger and T'Challa had that same fight, being cousins. That same fight where he's trying to basically it's the sins of the father thing. Where
it's also very meta too, because I'm pretty sure that a black person who grew up in Africa looks at the world a lot different than us.
Or yeah, depending on what part of Africa you're in.
Especially if you grew up in a super shitty part, like you might, and we're like, oh yeah, you know, they would probably not share the same opinion at all.
Correct.
Or may also think because we're not for the motherland that we're like, you know, what do you call it? Conditioned.
Correct. It's like, oh, you're like, it was funny because like, yeah, in the movie they look out and they go like, oh, there's some Americans. And I was sitting there with Danielle and I was like, how do they know that they're Americans? Like they pointed at a black guy and she's like, oh, look, an American came in. And I'm like, how do you know he's American? But then it's like, all right, well, yeah, obviously you can look at the clothes, you can look at how they talk. They don't talk anything.
How they talk, how you dress. And if you're from Africa, you know, the average black person don't even dress or act like that over there. So yeah, you know, I mean, if we got on the plane tomorrow and went to Africa, pretty sure we step off that plane, they know, yeah, where they from? Yeah, they ain't from here.
Yeah, you just like, huh? Like, what do you mean? I'm black like you. And it's like, yeah, but you're American black. Like, you're not African. Like, we the true African Americans. That's why the bias of things is always there, which is pretty much what the movie was showing you, is that like there are biases within actual cultures themselves, where you're not even dealing with another race. It's not that they're even dealing with another race in the Black Panther movie. They're dealing with the problems within their own world, which is they're going to dig deeper into it with Wakanda Forever, which is, I don't know what that movie is going to be, but I know that there's a lot of stories that can be told in terms of how do the people of Wakanda feel about the monarch of people that are there? Because clearly the monarch of people aren't just happy-go-lucky people who treat everybody the same. Any country where there's a monarch, there are always people who feel like you think you're better than me, so fuck you. Like there's always that dynamic. That's very much a European sort of mindset of like, you know, where you have a patriarch, where you have somebody like in charge, that's the king or queen, and it's like, well, why are you in charge? Because you say so. Like, you know, that kind of thing where things get challenged. So I feel like the Kingdom of Wakanda, especially with them having issues with the fact that, like, if they do a story where Chadwick Boseman's character is dead and they're choosing a new Black Panther, it's like, last time I checked on my watch, you guys have lost 2 Black Panthers in the last like 2 years. What's going on? Why should you guys?
Pretty much.
You know,
that actually works too, because they lost his dad, then they lost him.
But also, here's another part of it that I know I'm speculating on this movie now, but another part of it that you have to realize, just like in other shows, there are people who become monarchs. I guarantee you the shit that Killmonger, the effects of Killmonger inspired other people. And that's what we're going to have in the movie, which is like, you got this guy who literally came from a foreign land.
Oh, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was thinking that I was watching the beginning of Black Panther a few days ago, and I was thinking about small ass shit that Marvel Studios does. I was thinking about the chick that Killmonger was making out with in the beginning when they stole the shit from the museum and then he was making out with the truck. I was like, what if when they make like World of Wakanda or whatever, like what if she's in the show and they show like what she did after, you know what I mean? Like that.
He died.
Huh?
He died. He killed her.
Who?
The girlfriend. He killed her.
When did he kill the girlfriend?
He killed her when he killed Claw. Because remember, Claw when he turned on Claw, I just watched this today. When he turned on Claw, she was in front of him and he said, "I'm sorry." And then literally shot her through the heart so that he could shoot Claw. And I was like, oh
shit, I didn't remember that. Oh wow, never mind.
he was on a mission. He didn't give a shit about her. He was on a mission.
Okay.
So he shot.
All right, never mind.
Like being inspired by somebody like in the show My Hero Academia, one of my favorite animes of all time right now. There's a villain called the Hero Killer Stain, and he fights against the heroes, but his whole big thing is, you know, all of these other heroes are fake. All Might he's literally a villain who's a All Might super fan, but he's like, all of these other heroes are fake, so I'm gonna kill all other heroes that are not like All Might. So, but his like ideology and like speeches and promos that he do inspire a bunch of people who have powers to become villains. So he winds up inspiring the other guy, the guy with the hand over his face. He inspires him to realize, like, my biggest problem is not my family or anything like that. It's All Might. So he sets on the path to, I have to destroy All Might and this entire society of people that he's created. So literally one guy's actions created a villain who is currently the big bad of My Hero Academia.
Well, you know what they say. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
I think that came from Batman. I think.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, asshole.
It's all good.
I'm just saying that. I'm just saying, like, you know what they say. Like, yeah, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
Absolutely. With that said, that's a good way to end this show. Once again, this is the episode of Ronnie and Markell Make a Podcast Zoom edition, and the title.
We done lost count on what episode it is. Have we? We haven't been like, I don't know. We've been keeping track of what number it is.
We haven't said it on the show just in case like something happened. I've learned now, just some transparent stuff. I've learned something happens technically that I can't. If we don't say what episode it is and we let the audience count, then
Gotcha.
I can fix it at any point in time. It's just like, this is episode 10. Oops, I'm sorry. Actually, it's episode 13. Like, it's all good.
And if we need a filler, it's episode 14 too.
Exactly. You see the point there. Anywho, guys, thank you again for tuning in and listening to us. I know that
we couldn't do it without you.
This episode is definitely going to be broken up into parts. So if you've already checked out the other parts and now you're on this last part, thank you. You have won the prize of nothing. There's no
like, oh, you have won a prize. We'll send your prize to, and it starts buffering and cuts off.
That's a nice trick you got there, kid. Here we go. All right. Good night, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give you guys a high five from me.
Yeah.